Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. What's that look for?
I was just thinking how I could weave in low life in reference you this morning, but it's too soon for the shenanigans.
It's too early.
I'm like,
I usually don't try and get out of pocket until the 9 o'clock hour.
I'm like, let me just slowly walk into this. No need to sprint, be in a hurry.
It's a long show. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube here on the Pillar Exterior stage.
He was waiting to use that line, wasn't he?
The highlights, lowlights line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had that packed and ready to go.
But it made me think of my man, Future, Shane.
The rapper.
Low life.
He said low lights.
I know what he said. But what
low
did I
life
say?
is
Did I? No. See, look, first of all, I own that. It's my thought process. So what I said was him saying that made me think of Future, low life. I didn't say he said
gotcha.
Low. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't say he said anything.
I didn't follow that ADHD train. Well,
hey man, get out of here. All right, before we call, Judgy McJudge, pull a Harry and Bull on night court. Just leave your boy alone.
That's ahead of that's before my time.
Well, they've made the reboot. It's not near as funny, but
yeah, I haven't watched that.
It still has John Larroquette in it though.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I look at CBS comedies and I'm like, that's just not for me.
Well, he's the only one alive still.
John Larroquette?
Yeah.
So the lady passed away?
Yeah, like a couple of years ago.
I'm sure Bull's out. He was too big. Probably had some.
I believe he's gone too.
Who?
I believe he's gone. Harry Anderson's gone.
Yeah, well.
R.I.P. to Night Court, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a way to start the show.
It's a funny show, though.
Back in the day.
Exactly.
To this day?
Yeah.
To this day.
The guy's still trying to get quality fights. I don't know. I'm going to have to pass on old Wilder.
I used to be a big Wilder guy.
I'm not. I never was. But I understood,
there was an appeal to him.
If you like unskilled guys that could bomb.
I did like.
Is that you're like, yeah, exactly. That's what I like.
I don't like unskilled guys, but I do like the just heavy hands.
Yeah, he could.
I still can't believe Tyson Fury just came back from the dead within 8 seconds.
Yeah, pulled an Undertaker.
That that moment ruined Deontay Wilder's career.
Doesn't seem to have recovered.
No, like just imagine this, right? Your entire life, you go, and the same thing works every time.
Yeah.
Like if you connect with a guy, like he's donezo.
Before you turn out the lights.
Yeah, Tyson Fury was actually out cold.
Yeah, I don't know.
He wasn't just laying there.
I don't know what happened. It was like somebody all of a sudden gave him smelling salts and he like shook out of it.
Yeah, like somebody sprinkled some holy water on him and like the demons came out and he's like,
I have exorcised the demons.
He is risen. Like Tyson Fury just went all Easter on me, just resurrected. No, that was last week. That's my bad.
That might have been a couple of weeks ago.
I have no idea what day
I don't either because every day is starting to seem the same, especially without any sports for me to go to.
Yeah, it just sort of blends together. You're like, I know there's NBA on tonight. That's all I got.
It's like it's a hodgepodge.
We got the Masters though.
Yeah, that's a good morning.
My guy, Scotty Scheffler is in position to have to make a decision.
Now he's your guy.
Well, he's my guy if he stays.
It's because you'd wear his jacket.
He's my guy if he stays. If he leaves, then I'm going to question his commitment to the game publicly and vociferously.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
I'm just saying. Okay,
so Shane, your guy Danny Willett is over here acting funny again. It must be a major, and it must be early in the majors.
Danny Woodhead?
Willett.
Oh. Danny Woodhead also a pretty good golfer.
Yeah. He was funny.
Yeah, he was at the Jet Awards a couple weeks or last week. Like I said, I don't know what day it is. It was at some point I went to a Jet Awards
I'm
ceremony.
pretty sure it's Friday.
It is Friday. We've got a good show for you.
It's Friday.
You got to get down on
Shane,
Rebecca Black.
Your guy Fleetwood Mac, who we thought 3 years ago was going to be pretty good, and then like 3 more years happened.
Tommy Fleetwood Mac?
Yes.
Yeah.
Off to a good start.
Not as good a start as
Bryson?
Scheffler or Bryson.
Yeah, you're all in on Scotty.
I mostly just want him to have to make the decision.
Oh, gosh.
Like, does that make me a jerk?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, among other things.
Well, that's fair. It's a laundry list.
Answer that.
I don't know either, Coach. I'd go ahead and just shake my head.
It's a laundry list of things, but for some reason, I really want him to have to make the decision.
Yeah, well,
Why do you
want to see people? It won't be. It's apparently it's not going to be a difficult decision for him, Ravi.
If he's in the lead, I bet it gets a lot harder.
Nah, man, dude, sit him out.
Yeah, it's easy to say before you're leading on Sunday at Augusta.
I'll let your boy. I'm out.
It's a lot easier to say. I'm just saying. I was having dinner with my mom, my wife, and my sister yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I asked them.
I had dinner with my mom yesterday.
So I asked them the question. I go, okay, so there's this golfer. I had to set the stage a little bit because they don't pay attention to sports, which is fine. But
good on them. I don't either.
You watch more games than anyone I've ever met in my life.
It's okay.
And I know Jacob Padilla.
It's okay.
I
watch maybe a variety of sports. I don't know.
You watch way more variety.
Yeah. I watch a lot of different
Jacob's
things.
way more likely to be watching like a 14U AAU game.
That would be Micah, so I have that covered.
Okay. Like a 12U AAU game.
I wonder why we've been reaching our streaming limit the last two, or our bandwidth or limits the last couple months.
Yeah.
It's those little boogers.
Yeah, the children are watching television.
It seems to be more rampant than ever right now.
Well, what else you got to do?
Well, they work out quite a bit. Get out of the house. You know what I mean?
No, so I'm having dinner with.
They'll leave the game. Micah will leave Fortnite on through the night.
Oh, come on, man! What are we doing?
No, he's trying to get his wig split. Is what's happening.
What are we doing? Come on, Micah.
Well, I had to threaten him the other night.
Micah, you're better than that. All right.
But he's his own dude.
I need you to use better judgment.
Try to manage it.
Like when you're trying to talk about the Thompson twins, like I need you to use better judgment. All right, that's all.
Hey, so when he's out of school here in a little bit, he'll be coming up here. He'll probably jog. This dude thinks he's Rocky now with his workouts, but he's gonna come up here and let you have it.
Let's do it.
You thought I was top? This jump will kill you.
Exactly.
He
wants to talk hoops.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm like Doc Sadler. I'm excited.
Trying to just get him to stay off of TikTok.
It's exciting.
Jeez.
I'm just saying I had this conversation and I think I brought him around that he should stay at the Masters.
Were you with your brother?
No.
Just your sister.
This was later. This was later.
Okay, because your brother's actually married with kids.
Yes, but my mom has children, obviously.
Yeah, but she's being brainwashed by her faith. that doesn't even count. Let's see how your sister came around.
So
she's fairly neutral, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And then my wife was very much like, "Oh, he's got to be there." And then I was like, "Babe, you know what the purse is for the Masters?" And then all of a sudden she's like, "I've got friends. It's fine."
I can't believe that.
I mean, if you know Natasha at all, like you start writing 6 zeros on a check, and it's like, yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
She's very
like pragmatic.
Yes, that's a good word.
Yeah,
it's a good word.
That's fine.
I'm just saying.
Who is that? Is that McGuire or Rule?
That's Troy.
You can hire a
Gannon, that's fine.
You can hire a hell of a midwife for that
It is
price.
not optional.
Or a doula.
Yeah, everybody waits for these highlights to come out, man. How's the football team?
Today's going to be a day. What's happening to us, and it's part of culture now, right?
So
like everyone's waiting at home for us to put out something from practice today. They want to see the highlights. The highlights haven't been the reason why haven't been to a bowl game in the last 6 years. It's the lowlights.
I mean, he's not wrong.
That's a t-shirt, man.
It's not the highlights. It's the lowlights.
Is there anything more, Rule?
No, it really is, right?
Like, just hey, you having a good time? Try this.
Just the lowlights.
Oh, you like the highlights?
Hey,
So
you're starting to feel
I'm
good
more of
about
a, hey, what are the
yourself.
defects?
Listen to
Eliminate the
this.
defects type of a coach. And so yeah,
Here's a dose of perspective.
Oh, you think Danny's dropping dimes?
Yeah, he's 1 of 8 in our station work the other day.
You
How
should
about
see
that?
the lowlights.
I've been listening to Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley a lot.
Yep.
Stop
See,
it.
hey,
Stop
again,
it.
one more time for those of you. Say the quiet part out loud here, Coach Rule.
I've been listening to Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley a lot.
I tried to tell you.
I mean, listen, that's okay.
I even used him as an example as an East Coast guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did. I swear I did.
We can learn from
Stop
people
it.
that we hate.
Stop.
It's fine.
Stop the madness.
We can learn from people that are stupid. It's fine. No, I don't think Danny Hurley's stupid. I don't.
Coach Rule, how do you feel about Danny Hurley? Do you like listening to him?
I've been listening to Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley a lot.
Yeah, Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley.
I mean,
Not to be confused with Bobby.
that's
Bobby.
or Bob Senior.
Bobby.
Bobby Boucher.
That'll go viral. People will be hating
Ricky
on
Bobby?
Twitter.
Yep, that'll go viral.
No, listen, you can learn a lot from people that you disagree with.
What is this, a seatbelt commercial?
You can learn a lot from, no, that's it, make it click. You can learn,
Brought to you by NDOT.
Highway Safety Office. I think it's a freebie. I don't even think they're on the list today. Congrats, guys. We're just trying to keep people alive out here. Arrive alive. Didn't that used to be one of the slogans?
I don't know that I can answer.
Exactly.
What'd I do?
We just got here.
Yeah, we're 12 minutes in. We're having a grand old time.
I don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
I just people think I'm the weird
what
one.
I do.
I'm not.
I'm pretty weird. I understand that. That's fine.
Just the lowlights.
So we heard from Coach Rule yesterday.
Listens to Dan Hurley quite a bit.
I love this. I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley.
I still can't
He
believe
didn't say quite a bit. He just said he loves listening to him.
quite a bit.
I'll say one more
He
thing.
loves it quite a bit. He doesn't say he does it quite a bit.
Shane, Ravi apparently has an excessive amount of candle and wicks in his ears. Can you play what Coach Rule
John
said
Wick?
about
I swear to God, if somebody
Coach-
killed one of my dogs, I would go so hard.
what Coach Rule said?
I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley.
Did you hear? Did you not hear the love? Or is something wrong?
Can
with
we
your
play
hearing?
it again? One more time.
I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley a lot.
Yeah.
What part of that didn't you get?
Recently. I've been. That gives me context for a time frame.
Well, he's had the mic quite a bit, running rampant through college basketball the last month.
I'm not saying he's bad at his job. I never said that. I just said I hate him. There's a
It's
difference.
okay. It's okay.
I hate playing golf, but the minute you say, "Hey, let's play a game," I become a different person.
See, he hates playing golf, but he wants to go play the Master. I bet he wouldn't leave.
I bet he would.
Julie wouldn't.
Julie
let him.
busts his head wide
She
open.
wouldn't. She'd be like, I'm sorry. How much is the check? No, you stay there.
She's the one that made him go back to work.
You're
They
right.
was
I
getting
wanna
big
win.
checks.
That's how I know she wants the check, right? She made him go back to work.
Nah, man, it's about the principles of the matter.
I got a lot of principles for
You're not about to just be around me when I know you love coaching. Get up on out, yeah.
I got a lot of principles.
Go on now.
For 7 figures checks.
Gave him
too.
a little tap as he got out there. Go on now.
Go on, honey.
Go on.
A little pat on the butt.
Are you finally going to find the fairway, Eldrick? Yes, he's in
It's
the
a great
fairway.
question.
We love
know.
Tiger. Where he's trying to make a cut. He's in position. He might.
The cut line's right now, what, currently sitting at +2?
Yeah, and he's even.
Yes, he is.
So
But things can change.
Things can change because they play more holes of golf.
Detecting a mood today. We're picking up from where we left off yesterday.
So Coach Rule had a press conference yesterday after practice.
Did he talk?
We're just gonna keep on rolling. Yeah, apparently he's talking about how much he loves Coach Hurley. No, but he actually said some useful things in there too.
Wow.
I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley a lot.
No, I'm not surprised by that. He likes being around excellence. I've never denied the excellence.
Mhm.
I've just made the accusation that he's also a ginormous a-hole.
We don't even know that.
No,
Hey, what movie was that where he told his son, was it He Got Game, where Denzel told Jesus to get that hate out of his heart? He said, get that hate out your
so
heart.
are you
boy."
Denzel and I'm
No,
Jesus?
you need to get that hate out of your heart. I'm pretty sure that was He Got Game.
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
Yeah, you get that out of your heart, man.
I'm okay with it.
It's
Actually,
it's blinding you. You can't see so good.
like Bane. By the time he saw the light, it was blinding.
You were merely.
You merely adopted the dark.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
By the time I saw the light, it was blinding. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lewis, Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Yeah. Be back on Monday.
I don't know what we're doing.
Shane is just like, what is?
I'm just gonna like pivot and pretend none of that first 15 minutes
That's
just
fine.
happened.
Let's do that.
All right. So
Then you're cooking with gas.
Shane, you're not helping here.
Dude, he's out of control. Last 2 days, man. Welcome back, man.
I pass out after every game.
He's just
I
trying to
go
like
home and I am out.
make up for all the drops he missed the couple days he was out. He's just hammering that button.
I think geez, what week was it, man?
Shane, I'm
Dude,
trying to get back.
Listen, he is on a roll right now.
I'm trying to get back.
It's funny to me. And sometimes it gets on my nerves.
I'm trying to get back on track here. You
God
know.
have mercy.
So Rule was asked yesterday. I think it was one by one Stephen M. Sipple. I think.
Stephen?
Steven
Sipple.
Stephen Montgomery.
Somebody tweeted me a picture of him in a sombrero in the studio, and it was kind of funny.
I've always kind of operated on the Costa Rican.
We'll talk to Steven.
Yeah, we'll talk to Sip on Monday.
Don't mealy mouth me.
I hope to bump in. So on days, I'm not even gonna bring this up.
I mean, you kind of already have.
No, I just wonder on days that there's. So does no media mean no media? Like even after practice, you can't like catch somebody leaving.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't help you there. That's a Keith Mann question, I think.
Yeah. Although I asked him a couple questions the other day, he said it was above his pay grade. I said that's impossible.
They'll say, "Who is?"
He's the bad guy.
We're going-
He's the nicest guy I know, but he's still the bad guy.
We going?
That is 100% true. He is like the nicest person down there.
That was funny where he's like, "Yeah, no, I just throw him under the bus basically for everything."
He's the bad guy. He's the nicest guy I know, but he's still the bad guy.
Well, never mind. I was thinking out loud. I'm hoping to bump into Sipple at some point.
I'm sure you will.
They scrimmage tomorrow.
He's around.
Just thinking about just loitering, just catapult on in.
And it's good loiter. It's good for everybody.
I wish we had the kind of budget where everybody could rock those catapults.
Yeah.
Basically the walking body clocks.
Yeah, the analytics deals.
Yeah. They're so efficient.
Mhm.
This is wild. I didn't know this. So a guy went down at practice and they were just kind of working on some muscles. They're talking on walkie-talkies to each other, to the next man and the chain of command about the process of what the body readings are showing you. He's down, just giving a heavy massage right now. We're in such and such an area. And I'm just like,
they're getting like real-time info.
This is incredible.
Yeah. They're getting real-time info from the catapult system.
Unbelievable. It is incredible.
So they can start treating the injury immediately.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was like, who's going to appreciate this? I probably could have played a lot longer.
I couldn't have.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
They're wired and hooked. Like I said, you drive guys in at 60 mile an hour, hoping everybody else gets out of the way so you can attempt a field goal. Like you're that particular about time and situation where you just don't want to waste time. You're just trying to be as efficient as possible. It's like I've seen some things that they're willing to do. It's like, I wonder if this is how other programs that want to be big time do it. And I've only seen probably 7 or 8 other schools, and it probably wouldn't dictate kind of what Nebraska's trying to do. But
well, I will say
just imagine we're working on a player talking to somebody else real time over an earpiece. It was like some 24 Jack Bauer type stuff. What?
No, it's just fun.
Why are you coming up here?
We got the iPad back.
Why are you coming up here?
Guess who's back? Back again. iPad's back.
You're messing up my flow, Shane.
Tell a friend.
He just smiles at me. I feel like just slapping him off the stage.
He doesn't care that he's messing up the flow
he really
at
doesn't.
all.
He's
doesn't. Like, hey, we're getting the iPad back.
He's like, listen, man, this took me 24 hours, and now I can actually talk to you yahoos and keep you on schedule. No more hand signals.
He was just tired of texting me when there's 2 minutes left in every segment.
I just wait for the bed music. Yeah, I guess we're done.
No, but he's talked about how the way they run practice with the stations and the multiple fields, basically the only 2 people that he's aware of that do it in college football or did were Georgia and Alabama. And so, I think there is some influence there. I don't know if he decided to do it that way before and then learned that Georgia and Alabama do it that way, or if he was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a chicken or an egg situation.
He has a great thought process along that. He goes, because some people will tease him about getting ideas from other people. And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to be great? Go see what great people are doing.
Yeah.
And he was talking to one of our former guys, and he said, you remember in the 90s, how many schools would come in here and pick your brain?
Yeah.
Well, so why shouldn't we? And then he puts it in perspective, and said former player was like, yeah, good point. Get my pride out of the way. Yeah, it's a good point.
Was it Tony Veland?
No.
Oh, okay.
I said he said 3 words.
Oh, okay, my bad.
That's about 3 too many for Tony. Yeah, Tone doesn't come around much. Plus, he got a new job. He's busy.
He's a busy man.
Mhm.
I get it.
Wow. I think Tony's fantastic.
It's a different Tony.
Different Tony.
But he's fantastic too.
Tony White, Tony Veland, both fantastic.
Yeah.
Love them both. No, I mean, I think
I've been listening to Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley a lot.
I think part of it is
He's really going to try to throw you off your game.
it's fine. I think part of it is Nebraska, both fans and former players, I think have a hard time adjusting to I don't think people are delusional in where Nebraska's current place is,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes we don't appreciate the repercussions for what that means, right?
The who?
The repercussions.
Reparations or repercussions?
Repercussions.
Thank you.
I say repercussions.
I have
don't
no
know.
idea what you said.
It's not reparations.
Oh,
I
I
do.
don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
That you said. I didn't say that. I don't have 40 acres or a mule for you. I'm sorry.
Sometimes some guys can be too cool for school. These guys weren't. They wanted to do this.
What if they're just jerks, Coach? Like,
I'm not too cool for school. I'm just a jerk.
you want your jewels back. I want reparations. We're
Yeah,
even.
That's fair. Listen, you help me get
All
the
right, y'all.
jewels. I'll
Thanks,
help
guys.
you get the 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah, I mean, I
We should start a record company called Jewels and Mules, and we'll just put out mixtapes on trying to get our stuff back. I think
that'll
it's
go viral. And people will be hating me on Twitter.
it will go viral. Jewels and Mules. I mean, come on. We could have Moscow Mule events as like fundraisers. People might get confused that we're talking about like drug mules, but we're not. We're talking about actual mules.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is your fault.
I didn't think of jewels and mules.
Well, listen, you can't blame me for being creative.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I might. That's what
Okay.
I might name my LLC that. That's an incredible name, Jewels and Mules.
Yeah. But you need a
We'll just
you need a certain kind of partner or people won't get it.
yeah, we'll just formalize our business relationship here, make an
You in a
LLC.
good mood or what?
You know, it's better for taxes. Anyway,
So people you think he has a realistic sense of what?
I think that some people don't understand the repercussions
Thank you.
of what no longer being in that position means, right? So instead of people coming to Nebraska to be like, oh, how are you guys doing things? Nebraska needs to go to other people and be like, okay, how do we get to your level? I think there are some consequences, some chain reactions that have occurred based on where Nebraska's at in the pecking order that people haven't always thought all the way about. So when Coach Rule comes in here from the outside and says,
It's the low.
yeah, why wouldn't we go look at other people that are doing it better than we are right now? I don't know that always clicks with people immediately. We'll get to more sports probably at some point. That's Mules. I'm Jewels. This is Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Funny.
We're back here.
As we welcome you back to Hurrdat Sports Radio with Ravi, Lulla, and myself. Occasionally I bounce back into a one, so it's okay. Don't mind that. But
Go for it. We're on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
yeah, YouTube, Facebook, and all that other good
Pillar
stuff.
exterior stage and go.
It's a nice place to be. It's always funny. There's often this joke in spring ball when you get after it. I remember a lot of those guys saying it, where you would hit this magic moment.
Mhm. This magic moment.
Okay, Jewels and Mules. That was one of the low-key funniest things I've heard in a while since yesterday. But you had to be here for the whole Taj Mahal and the stealing of the jewels
Yeah,
thing.
it's true.
But anyway, we're not going to reset
You
that.
got to listen to the show every day. That's the
We're
point.
not going to reset that. It's very creative, by the way. There's always this magic moment if you could like make it to.
Yeah. Like if you got over the hump, you'd be
Yeah,
good.
even as a player, and we would joke all the time, and he doesn't know, at least I don't think he knows this, but obviously the line of demarcation is different for everybody, but we would always talk about, like, we would encourage each other as position group players. We'd like, hey, just get through the second scrimmage,
Yeah,
or
just
get
this
through.
day.
And that's how we would talk to one another, because you had no legs,
Yeah.
you were sore. It was way more physical. I think back then we were doing 20 practices, and so it was just like, make it to here, and then you get to here, and then you'd say, hey man, I can't wait till Saturday after the scrimmage. What are you cooking? Are you cooking? hey, let's go to,
Yeah.
let's go get to the watering hole. Like we would be trying to forecast something you could do to get your mind off what you were
You're
going through.
dangling the carrot in front of
It's like,
yourselves.
because you get to a point, especially how they're getting after it, where always makes me think of Coach Ferentz's bloodbath line, but that's not funny. But I was like, wow. Anyway, you get to those levels of physicality where it's just like once you push through, you're good.
Yeah.
You just gotta make it through that point.
Well, and a lot of it, I get there are.
Because I was talking about what rigor.
Yeah, and I get there are physical limitations, right? That's a real thing. But, and I truly believe this. I believed it when I was a coach. I believed it when I was doing strength and conditioning. I believed it when I was training and powerlifting, whatever. Your mind will give up before your body does.
Oh, 100%.
Like your mind will tell you it's time to quit before your body has reached its capacity.
That's SEALs 101.
Right? And
we've had a couple of those guys come talk to us about the difference between mental and physical capacity.
And so you have to push yourself when there are no stakes to the point where your mind isn't going to give up on you.
And coaches
and
coaches have tried it, right? We heard Coach Frostcoin. What was his he embraced the suck, right? Like that was kind of his thing, and he wanted guys to, like, he really tried that. He didn't have, I think, the depth of players and maybe the gumption, like just the
conviction to do it,
staying with it.
Yeah.
To watch guys kind of maybe fall by the wayside. You keeping on. I think they maybe have reached, and coaches in the past have reached a point where it's like the 6th or 7th guy, and you're like,
I can't keep watching
we got to scale it back.
Well, the other thing is there's a difference between knowing what needs to be done and knowing how to do it, right? It seems like, at least from the outside, Rule has a better plan or path forward on how to accomplish the rigor and getting through the suck and whatever.
He also has numbers in which he's much more confident in putting things through the stringer.
Sure. Right.
Right. I think in year 2, he can. You're not going to laugh at a guy being injured, but you can make a joke or two about a guy being on a stationary bike than maybe a year ago, where you would say to yourself, we got 6 guys on bikes today. Man, come on. You know what I mean?
They didn't have a lot of depth last year, and they kept going through it.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's having the conviction to be like, this might get ugly before it gets better. Being willing to, and we know he's willing to do that.
That's why I like the figure it out thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because look at the quarterback situation last year, or running backs,
or wide receivers.
Hey, we better figure it out. Same as taking camp. I know the camp registration thing seems kind of minor, but I think it's a huge microcosm of what he believes philosophically.
We'll figure it out.
We need to be the best that we can be, and if it's better or bigger than what we planned, hey man, that's c'est la vie. Like
also
that's how we ride.
I feel like he takes a ton of pride. Maybe pride's the wrong word, but you'll know what I mean when I say it. I think he takes a ton of pride when he in being at his best in the most chaotic situations.
Yeah, I don't. What do I mean? What do you mean pride? I'm just playing. I know what you mean.
Like,
could you ever hit a curveball?
I was okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw you. Sometimes I'll throw you some off speeds just because.
I was okay.
I just feel like I like to see.
I was better at throwing them than I was hitting them.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go ahead and doubt that.
No, I was
just because you have a little break doesn't make it good. If you threw a lollipop, you could probably hit a lollipop.
No, I wasn't. I mean,
you're not snapping off 12-6, are you?
Oh yeah, I used to practice.
Not a chance.
I'll go do it today.
Oh, you're on.
I used to go.
Hey, you should have bought my Euro meat last night, for the record.
You gotta come find me.
I know. I totally forgot.
That's on you.
I totally forgot.
That's totally on me.
Not a chance you're gonna snap off a bender like that. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not in 3 months. We'll go to the 118 building right now and get in the batting cage.
Let's go.
And I will spin that thing backwards. You just don't get out of bed and throw a breaking ball. Not a good one.
This morning, like today, no, like haven't thrown in probably a year. the slider is going to be better than the curveball. You
Well,
give
you
me
know-
like 3 months.
Listen,
The
you know
curveball
what you know what happens when sliders don't slide.
Yeah,
That's BP.
I'm just saying your foot's going right in the bucket.
That's not
100%.
not a chance,
100%.
man.
I used to practice. This is how I used to practice my 12-6 curveball. I would put a like one of those city garbage cans, those big metal ones, where I wanted to throw it, and then I'd like get them to break into the garbage can.
I'm by no means good anymore. I'm 50, right? But I told that I was at the grocery store yesterday, and the guy in the back that they always have these crazy sales.
Mhm.
So sometimes I like ask him to, because my knives aren't super sharp. I have two like machete looking things that
Mhm.
are amazing. I told you those the best. I use them all the time.
Mhm.
But I need like
a honer.
yeah, where I can get like the silver skin off or
Yeah.
just trim like fat horizontally. So sometimes I'll have him do it. And he's like, hey, my boss was telling me you used to play softball, you play on this team with the Nationals, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah. I said, it's funny. I still have my bat bag in the corner of my garage. I said, I'm more apt
Mhm.
tomorrow, to go hit, and I'm only going to give it like 80 mile an hour. I'm more apt to go hit an 80 mile an hour Mitch Mosser fastball
Mhm.
than I am to go run for 10 yards. But people just think football, right? Like I would go hit a ball
Mhm.
much easier than I would have, 2 carries for 6 yards. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying I could hit anymore. I can still throw.
Okay.
Like
I just love
the hitting.
your arms are like 24 inches. I would love to see you come off.
I'm not gonna say it looks real great anymore, because there was.
Can you put your arm above your head? Okay. It's better than I thought.
I mean, listen. I'm not gonna say I have the most range of motion in the world, but I can still throw it.
He's from 60 feet 6 inches. By the time it comes out of his hand, it's 63 inches.
That's all right. That's all right. We're
I
good.
don't even know why, but it's technical, right?
Good to go. I'm ready. Let's go hit up our guy DJ, play a little baseball.
Oh, shoot.
I'm ready to roll.
I like the way you make me laugh.
So the DJ can't spin.
Yeah, I can spin it a little bit.
Yeah, so I think some guys are going to fall off a little bit, but
But I mean, last year's a good
it's most important for the wide receivers, because I think they need to learn rigor.
Mhm.
It's hard because you don't. That's the one.
You don't think of it as a physically demanding position
Well,
because it's on the outside.
and it's the one thing that in high school
You don't really have to do.
you don't coach it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like we run like 3 or 4 takeoffs, we get the next group in.
Yeah. Right?
Right? If they do it, then we'll go back with the other guys. Like these guys, you may do it 10, 11, 12, 13 times in a row.
Yeah, and that takes
You don't practice that way in high school.
No, and a lot of people don't practice that way in college, as we saw.
I mean, they run 2 takeoffs or a couple of skinnies, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah, give me one.
Tim, go get Mark."
Give me one.
Yeah.
Wrapping up hour number 1 coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Slight programming note, we're going to catch up with Coach Kuhn on Monday instead. Had some scheduling issues there on when we originally planned to talk to her and what her schedule was like. So, man, you put way too much water in. There's salt in that water. It's gonna be terrible.
It's not.
You're gonna turn into like.
So my mom has one of those ice makers that, yep, it's wet. That makes the
little nugget ice.
No, the cool ice that looks like tennis balls. They're round.
Yeah.
So I put 2 in there. Although her water takes way too long to come out of her refrigerator.
Oh,
but that's not my house. So
yeah.
As Verz would say, not my farm, not my pig, or is it not my pig, not my farm?
Not my pig, not my farm.
Yeah, whatever. We'll talk to him later on.
I don't know. We'll talk to Verz at 9:45. We'll talk to Sautter.
So the ice still hasn't melted.
Mm-hmm.
It like the ball is at the bottom of the shetty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's legit.
Especially with the salt in there.
Stop it. It's
no, with salt.
I didn't have salt in there last night. I just had regular slow come out of the refrigerator.
Just normal.
Take 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Regular ass water.
So the one that I have at home for my ice,
yeah,
it's bats. So it's like Batman. So it's bat cubes.
It's freaking bats. Yeah, whatever. Listen, Linda. Did you hear what he said about your boy Mazuka?
Which one?
O-line.
Oh.
He's talking about O-line. He said running with the second team.
Yeah.
And do you know when he says that, people are going to be like,
I don't think they are, though.
No, listen.
I think we're past that.
It's one of two things.
What's that?
We'd never take him at face value, even though 99% of the time he's operating at face value.
Yeah.
We're saying one of two things. Well, he's saying that to motivate him because early on in winter, he challenged him and said he needs to blah, blah, blah. Or it's so good that we don't have to have Mazuka come in and start.
That's where I'm at.
Well, you've been that way. So that's just confirming that you're right.
Confirmation bias.
But
it's not even that I'm right. It's just I have a perception of the offensive line now, and I think a lot of people do, that we didn't have last year. Like, we're talking last year about, we gotta have Ben Scott be good. He comes in as a transfer. He's got to be good right away, right? We're talking about
this may be a smidge of exaggeration.
Okay.
Ben Scott almost didn't start
because of Justin Evans.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think the perception,
he had to get his Bunda in gear post spring, and he did.
Right, and
that's how this thing goes there,
which is, I think, super encouraging. I think that's a really good sign. Super duper.
I don't say stuff like that, but super.
Mules and Jewels talk a little different sometimes. You might leave.
Okay. Okay. We're getting a little too casual with the 40 acres and mules thing. A little too comfy.
All right. We'll reel it back a little bit. We'll reel it back. Is it better if I focus on the acres rather than the mules? Does that help? No?
Oh.
You know, the funniest thing about the show yesterday is after the show just ended with you just with a laughing whimper.
If I would have, I had to really focus to not fall off the stage.
Yeah, I saw that. That was dangerous.
I'm just like, what just happened?
It's hard.
And what is wrong with you?
A lot. It's a lot. Should talk to my therapist.
I have a question though. Were you surprised that the networks ran with the OJ thing so long?
Kind of, yeah. I get he wasn't found guilty. That doesn't make him I don't know. I don't find him to be a sympathetic figure because he was found guilty of other stuff. He spent prison time.
Yeah, but see, death is the ultimate trump card when it comes to rationalizing your thoughts, right?
I get
because
that.
you never want to.
I'm not like that,
dance
though.
on graves.
I'm not trying to dance on graves, but
You're not like that.
But I don't have to go to the funeral either. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Listen, if somebody's a bad person, I'm not going to celebrate them because they're dead now.
I'm going to stop you right now.
I'm just saying.
No, it's fine.
Like,
I just don't want you to
and people can feel differently. That's fine. And I understand I'm sure there are people out there who dearly loved OJ as they knew him personally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really hard couple days. So I get that. Mm-hmm. But most of the people eulogizing him on TV or us, we don't have, we might have
connection,
nostalgia towards
we just know
him.
June 14th, 1994.
Or, even the people are like, oh, he had a really nice football career or whatever. Right. And I don't even, I had this with Kobe, right? I don't even have to have met him or known him or anything like that. Or Brooke Behringer is a really good example for me, right? Where I had met him, but it's not like we were best friends or anything, right? Where it can still impact you in a way. OJ's not like that for me, obviously. And I don't feel like a lot of the people kind of eulogizing him on TV are like that either. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like there's this, people see this sense of obligation to find the good in someone's life. And I get the desire to do that. But if I don't have any sort of connection to him, I'm not going to do that.
How'd you just have that in the mental queue?
What?
That last 4 minutes.
I don't know.
That's interesting because you could tell that's something you're pretty passionate about.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with the way most people process death, which is, I think.
And you're coming fresh off of processing.
A lot of it. I mean, a decent amount. My grandma passed in early December. My aunt passed a couple weeks ago. And, my parents are elderly. I get it. but I also understand, like, we live in a world where I feel like we are sort of selfish when we process death, which I get's a very personal thing. But like my aunt, for instance, had been sick and was miserable for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was sad that I'm not going to get to see her and spend time with her anymore, but I was relieved for her. She was not happy.
That sounds like Coach Samanji, who lost his parents.
Like, it's really hard.
Listen, he lost both parents in a 5-month span.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, and
I'm not going to tell people how to grieve, right?
And he said, you know what, DB, he's not suffering. And I just was like,
I think the problem that I have is people, and I think part of the reason people have a really hard time grieving is because they view it from a selfish point of view.
So with the networks and all the coverage, did you feel like they felt a sense of obligation because of the sports takes?
I guess
because there's something in me that says, okay, can we just talk about the accomplishments? Because it's the entertainment sports network, right?
But then it's kind of disingenuous not to bring up this thing that he's probably more famous for. Like, he's more famous for the Bronco chase and the murder trial than he was for football. For a lot, especially for people that are under a certain age.
Let me ask you this real quick. Shane, you can chime in too. How much do you think it has to do with even post time in prison, which is for an unrelated offense?
Yeah, for totally unrelated.
That he didn't really seem to go back and want to rehab any misconception. Like, he just was like, like life went on, right? His Twitter game, people thought he was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter wouldn't verify him. Like, how much of that has to do with how he was after?
Probably, but it probably has a decent amount to do with it. But I also don't know, like, if he genuinely didn't do it, which I obviously I think he knows what happened one way or another. But if he genuinely didn't do it, what would we expect him to do? You know, like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, if we're
maybe lay low,
sure,
stay out of the limelight.
But he kind of did for a while.
Really?
I mean, the Twitter stuff is recent. I don't remember. I was younger, so I don't remember. But after the trial, I don't remember him being in public for, like a decade.
Well, he was in jail.
Not right after.
Shortly.
I didn't think he went to jail until
a couple years, right, Shane? Am I misremembering?
I think he went to jail pretty.
It was one of the better 4-part series on ESPN.
I thought he went to jail quite a bit after that.
Well, how long, Shane? Sorry, Shane J. How long, Shane J?
Ray J?
Sean J. Strawn J. Oh, that's
no. Sanjay's like my people.
No. Strawn J is Boomerang, and it could get out of hand really quickly. Here.
OJ, by the way, I don't think he trended yesterday on Twitter as long as I thought he would. But I can tell you this: he'll trend at least once more because this summer will be the 30th anniversary of the Bronco thing.
Yeah, I know. June 14th or June whatever.
17th.
Johnny the Pig. He needs to bring some more vacuum sealed bacon. By the way, he needs to fix my vacuum seal. Is what he needs to do. He said, "Geez, Robbie,
what?
Sorry to be so selfish with my personal feelings." That is so him. That's fine. Nothing in a nutshell.
And like I said, I'm not going to
JL than that.
I'm not going to tell people how to grieve, but I think we do focus way more on how it impacts us than it does the person actually dying. And I do have a little bit of a problem with that. Like, it's not about you.
It's a deep cut.
Like, yes, it impacts you, but it's not about you. There's a difference. We will get to probably.
Maybe we'll get back to offensive linemen. I'm not sure.
Probably less depth.
Are we doing wide receivers today?
I think so. Sasha asked me what group we were doing. I just picked one out of a hat. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, on the Pillar Exterior stage. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're going to talk about sports this hour.
I want you to behave better this hour.
What'd I do?
I just want you to just behave better.
I mean, I think we both know that's unlikely.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, you kind of knew what you were getting into here.
God, I've
been listening to Coach Hurley, Danny Hurley, a lot.
Now he's just poking the bear, literally.
It's like when, when I played very poor, low-level college basketball, my coach would put me into the game occasionally, not very often, but occasionally. And I'd go in and I'd start shooting the ball, right? Because that's the only thing I could do well on a basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to tell my coach, I go, hey, if you don't want me to shoot the ball, don't put me in the game. This is what you're getting.
So either you crack this thing or you get cracked.
Yeah, exactly. Just very matter of fact. Is that why you love Coach Rule?
Yeah, I think so.
He had some good visitors in town too yesterday.
Well, I do want to get back to the offensive line because you asked me about Mizuki. He was talking about Bricks in that cut that Shano just played.
Grant Bricks, the guy that everybody loves.
Well, he was highly regarded. That's why people love him.
What? So
Everybody.
I say all that to say is, and this is gonna sound super Ravi-ish. I'm just gonna use sounding Ravi. Just
it sounds like it's derogatory.
It is. I understand not having access to film, falling in love with recruiting hype, this star chasing, all of it, because not everybody is on the same plane, right, with aptitude. Or my one wish would be my wish.
I was gonna say like Rascal Flats.
True.
You in a good mood or what?
Yeah, I am.
Most
Coach.
of those weren't words after that first part there.
You always say that, like I know the words ever to any of the songs, barely. Okay.
I mean, it was gold. It was
knock it off. All right.
All right, let's continue.
I get a little bothered.
Okay.
By us falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Because a guy is highly rated, we get all these assumptions, whether it's Rayola or Bricks, or we were looking at who's Tennessee's finest that's playing for Houston in the UFL yesterday. Guarantano.
Oh, yeah.
All these guys, right? And I just lump all this together because it all is the same. Take it for what it is in the moment.
Okay.
I get it. It's like, man, it's a 5-star. Oh, it's a 4-star. Or, oh, it's only a 2-star. Oh, it's only a 3. Like, we do this with stars, whether they're high or low. And I'm just here to tell you, and again, no disrespect to people in the industry because they have a job to do. I just don't think it's easy to peg or think you have a good grasp of a 5-star. Anything from a 3 to a mid 4, whatever, it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
And I say all that to say, I get Bricks was highly touted. I do. But offensive line, it's in context with offensive line.
Okay.
It's very, very difficult to predict. It's a borderline crapshoot.
Fair.
It's tough. So I don't want people to. And
second, maybe only to quarterback as a crapshoot.
Quarterback, I wish people would look at some different things, but we're not afforded the luxury of being around people.
Okay.
Because
in practice, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that will
high school and college.
That will tell you a lot about being able to predict future success.
Fair.
Just will. So I'm very prickly about that because I've seen us screw this up for 30 years
for quarterbacks.
In general,
just in general,
we're almost never right. You're going to get the occasional surefires, and people will use that as the case study. Hey, listen, man, people that win college national championships, it's proven they have X amount of 4 and 5 stars. See, the good players, for the most part, that aren't quarterbacks are easier to identify.
Sure,
they just are.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So you don't get credit for that.
But you think the offensive line is second hardest or maybe first hardest?
Other positions that aren't as it's hard, right? Quarterbacks were almost never right. Sure. Offensive linemen, a lot of hit and miss.
Sure.
Right? Now, it's not like linebackers and D linemen. Some things you can just see.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say like edge rushers are probably one of the easier ones.
And that's typically where
to be like, that guy's going to be able to get to the quarterback.
Or I think sometimes they peg wide receivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because if a guy, like there's a way to accentuate that at the college level. But for a guy like Bricks, and I think I had him, I was never asked officially, but he was in my Super 6. But it's going to take time,
Sure.
right? So, number one, he's in a deep unit. Number two, playing big time football in the Big Ten Conference for a young offensive lineman it's like, see, was an MC ran NW who had parental discretion is advised, like caution. It's.
I mean,
it
honestly,
can get a little ugly.
that's
So I
was
just
surprised why he brought him up
he was asked.
about Grant Britt specifically.
I
thought he was asked about offensive line. I thought
and young guys, right? It's
okay,
like,
fair.
and remember, coach, he's always thinking.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, I know he may have to give one of these talks about Carter Nelson here in about 3 months because you know what's going to happen. There's going to be this inordinate amount of pressure for somebody that we think is highly rated that we think should be pretty good, and he's going to have to unsolicited say something about Carter Nelson. Like, mark my words, he just will.
Yeah,
because it soothes us, even though instead of just asking us to kind of recalibrate our thought process, he'll play into us just because it's the nature of the beast.
Well,
with local media and fanfare in this state.
There's two sides to that coin, though, too, right? Because
there's two sides to most coins.
Well, and you
unless
got an edge, you got to watch out for.
Okay, Harvey, down.
But there's a positive to all of that attention as well, right? Like Nebraska got a bump from the Dylan Raiola thing nationally.
Let me ask you
in terms of perception.
Sure. Okay.
Like, so there's positives to it as well.
Okay.
I get that there then becomes these expectations that Rule has to manage.
I'm not advocating shying away from expectations.
Okay.
What I'm advocating is having perspective.
Okay.
And that's the part that I think not everybody's going to be capable of doing because we all don't have the same background knowledge and some of us count highly on what people tell us. I'm just saying a lot of times with folks in the recruiting industry, like it's a crapshoot.
Sure.
It is.
And I think there's way less difference between the worst quote unquote 5-star and a middle of the pack 4-star or
I just know like guys that people listen to, whether you're at Vanderbilt or Nebraska or Notre Dame or whatever, like who your guys are. A lot of those guys couldn't tell you and I mean this. And I'm not disparaging. It's just the industry. They're doing their job, right? What do people tell me? Well, I talked to this person, and this person said.
Well, they rely a lot on camps because they can see a bunch of kids at one time.
And there's very few people that actually put boots on the ground with real-time evaluations. Like one of the guys that I respect the most locally doesn't have anything to do with industry rankings, and that's Schaefer. Why do I respect Schaefer? Well, Schaefer started in media on a former show I used to do because I see him. He watches. He doesn't say much. He doesn't have to be like he's not making any extra money to have a strong opinion. So he takes his time. I like this guy. I watch this. I pit it against this. Like he's always there. Not everybody is afforded that luxury. So I'm not mad at Barton Simmons or whomever else with their position. I'm just saying we sure do. We listen to Sean Callahan a ton, and Sean Callahan doesn't see a lot of guys in person. It's no disrespect to Sean. I want to be him sometimes, right? Like the way that he's been able to grow and market himself is very admirable. And it's something.
But his job's kind of different now than being boots on the ground.
It's very different.
Yeah.
So it's very different. And he knows that. So that's why, and one of the things I like about him is, see, he can chuckle at that. People want him to be responsible for a lot of things that he's just not responsible for. So he just doesn't get in the weeds.
Because he's got a different job now.
Doesn't make him a bad person or any less credible. It's just, he knows his role.
That's not his job anymore.
And you can't run around and chase ghosts either.
Yeah.
Right. So I like he's really good with that. But it's like we hang on these every words, and it's like, you know what? We've seen these. I careful guys. Like just just be careful.
So let me play devil's advocate here, something I never do.
No, it's very natural to
It's
you.
out of my comfort zone here. But couldn't you
By
make
the way, country beef ribs, $1.47 yesterday.
that's a good
I'll take
price.
it.
Yes.
Maybe that's how Grant Bricks is putting all the weight on in spring, is getting those country
Mhm.
ribs. No, I think it's fair to have perspective with the recruiting rankings. I also think that we've become distrusting of recruiting rankings because a lot of highly touted guys at Nebraska in particular over the last 10 to 15 years have not panned out.
I don't know. We'll go back to the well. You say that, and I kind of agree with you, but we'll sure drink it up the next year.
No, we still fall for Lucy pulling the football. I get it.
Like we'll still lap it up.
But I also think that that's not always on the fact that maybe the recruiting guys didn't get it right. You still have to do something with the guy when he gets here, right? So I am much more excited about a highly touted guy coming to Coach Rule and his staff than I was at the end of
So what do you feel about
the
a guy
Frost
like
staff or the end of the Pliny staff.
So what happens if a guy like Donovan Jones or like
mid 3-star
Rex Guthrie,
okay,
right, turn out to be like really good? Who's going to get all the credit?
Rule
Rule.
or the staff.
Right, the staff, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who should get a lot of the blowback for the initial perception?
The recruiting services.
The recruiting services. But it doesn't happen that way.
No.
So why, if on the low end we give credit to the staff, and it's like, oh man, stats galore,
Great
national championships. See, stars matter. Why does it not go the other way when we look at the draft and we look at all guys that weren't 4 and 5 stars, and there's 100? Why is it not like, oh man, I can't believe those guys were misidentified coming out? We don't like. Again, I like consistency. So it doesn't matter if we're having conversations about whatever. I don't like to situationally use specific examples to make a case. I try to be.
You would like a logical consistency to the arguments
and see where it fits.
And that's
right,
fair.
Right? Like, but we just don't get that. So there's going to be an inordinate amount of pressure on Bricks. There's an inordinate amount of pressure on Malachi Coleman last year. There's an inordinate amount of pressure on.
I mean, Rayola is going to be the worst of all of them.
I was going to get to him, Rayola. It's going to be an inordinate amount of pressure on Bricks. So I go all the way back to the quarterback discussion when I talked about evaluating this position going forward. And because a guy was labeled something, we're cool as a fan base with having these expectations, and there isn't more than 90 of us talking that have seen him play a game live. 90.
Dylan?
Yeah, 90.
That's fair.
But we're going to hold ourselves to that standard because somebody told us so.
Sure.
There's just a better way to do life. That's just my opinion.
Probably, but I will say
I get trusting in the experts because that's what's going to be the pushback. Well, that's their job.
Well,
I get it, but you don't have to ride that emotion either.
And I will say
you don't have to ride that emotion,
which is totally fair. I will say I did, and I'd have to find my spreadsheet on this. I did go back for about a decade with the help, I think, from Riley on Twitter, of going through the 5-star quarterbacks. They usually are like the 5-star quarterbacks are usually at least productive at college.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I can bring it up. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I would love to take a look, especially the percentage of the 5 stars.
Sure. Yeah, and I can. I'll go back.
Is it closer to 50-50?
No, it's higher. It's better than that.
Okay. How many years?
I think I went back 10.
Okay.
And because they have gotten better, the evaluations, I think, and
that is 100%
right?
true because people have been burned.
Because it used to be, I mean, you go back, especially in the early days of the recruiting sites. I think Rival started in 03, 24/7 was like 07, 08, somewhere in there. Like in the early days, especially pre-2010, it was the Wild West. Like if you had not seen a guy, that guy was probably a 2 or 3-star. Like so, they've gotten way better, and so that's why I stopped at about a decade. Because I felt like there was sort of a to use Coach Rule's, a line of demarcation there of this is kind of when things changed. But I'll try and bring it up. But the the hit rate on 5-star quarterbacks, at least being
6 out of 10?
successful in college, is pretty good. I that's probably close.
Okay. 60%.
Which is, I mean,
Is that pretty good for our emotions?
I'll take it. If you record, if Nebraska recruits a quarterback, or if whoever, right, recruits a quarterback, and you go 60% chance this guy's going to be a really productive starter, I'll take my chances there.
Is it pretty good if you hit on 60% of your recruiting class?
I'd have to look at the numbers.
That
it's pretty good, right?
That'd be pretty good.
I would say that's pretty high. If you hit on it's high for what Nebraska's been at,
Yes.
right?
It may be high in general.
I think
it'd be a nice study.
I think that my perception of it, just looking at recruiting classes, is anecdotal. I understand that. I'd have to put together another spreadsheet, but my perception of it, it's usually about 50-50.
So do you know, like you may say, man, DB, where are you going with this? I'm probably defending the kid.
Sure, no, I get that.
At the end of the day,
I get that.
I'm
but I think you're doing it in a way
Because
of trying to temper expectations.
I don't know.
Okay, because that's how it's coming off
I'm
to me,
telling-
at least.
I want you to manage your emotions. It doesn't have anything to do with tempering expectations. It's the over-the-top reactions when our expectations
Ooh,
aren't met.
So I think, to me, fan emotions are tied to their expectations.
Listen to what I'm telling you,
Okay.
right? You can expect something.
Mhm.
I'm not telling you that you can't want Bricks to be a 3-year starter or Dylan to be an all-conference player. What I'm saying is, manage those emotions when you don't get confirmation, or if you don't get confirmation of what you think going in. Now, it's not to say you can't be disappointed, or I'm not saying. What I'm really saying is we're so over the top with the expectation levels, and we're not basing it on anything super tangible
Sure.
other than an opinion.
In the recruiting rankings, and
That's what I'm saying.
So
And
we're
so
basing-
I think there's something to be said about not having control over your emotions
sure.
when you don't know enough to begin with.
So you're talking about having hard emotions based on soft facts.
It's just, and maybe that's the nature of being a fan. I'm just saying.
Probably to a certain extent.
So I'm not so much
Because
worried
we're
about.
not privy to information.
I'm not so much worried about the adults.
Yeah.
I'm not. I sometimes I worry about.
But there's
coaches,
a negative repercussion.
and sometimes coaches have
repercussions.
to go out of their way.
Yeah.
To make sure that, like, how many times unsolicited was Coach Rule going to have to defend or pump up or mend or whatever his motive was when he said it, like the wide receiver spot last year with Malachi Coleman, or earlier with Thomas Fedoni,
Mhm.
or
Well, part of the issue with receiver, right, was that we saw it turn it into a mash unit, and you're like, hey, you've got this guy out there.
Yeah.
Throw him on the field. Figure it out, right? So I get that. And I understand that there can be negative consequences to the fans' emotional reactions, right?
Mhm.
I guess where and this is semantic, so it probably doesn't really matter, but where I would make the distinction is desired outcomes are okay, expectations are not.
or at least figure out how to manage them.
Right? Because I don't think desired outcomes typically elicit negative emotional responses, right?
Mm.
You're like, hey, I've got this desired outcome for Dylan Raiola. I want him to be all conference. I want him to get drafted to the NFL, whatever, right? I've got this desired outcome for Grant Bricks that I think by year 2 he should be able to rotate in on the offensive line. Or I've just thrown out examples.
I get it. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Josh says, experts and other schools, when Kirby and Saban want a kid, it means something. That those guys are easy, Josh. That's not the point. The point is when they're not those kids, does that mean that they don't have a certain amount of value because those other guys don't want them? Why is it good one way for the easy stuff,
Mhm.
but it's not for those that are like maybe hard to evaluate or aren't getting the camp attention? Like, that's a total microcosm of what I'm talking about.
Let me give a real world example here. Okay.
Like, the easy camp kid it's not a Kirby or Nick thing. It's an any coach with a pulse thing. Like that, those guys aren't rocket science.
No, what becomes impressive is if are the
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
So like the guys that end up being impressive are when like a Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart or Coach Rule finds a 3-star kid or whoever. Like the fact that Jeremiah Charles might start at corner this year is unbelievable. Like that is where these guys look, where the experts use their expertise, right? The issue that you're talking about is nobody's going to miss on the 5-star kids.
No, let's say I play into Josh. Let's say I play into this. Okay. Do you think anybody that played against Ainsworth or guys in Class B or Class A understand or doesn't create some sort of what is going on with recruiting? Because Alabama and Georgia wanted Carter Nelson. Like, if they don't see that, but Kirby and Nick do, that means that Kirby and Nick are right?
No, but I think because of the track record, we want to default to their opinion.
I just asked the questions out loud.
I know.
Since it was such a definitive statement.
I get it, but I think that's how
right. I mean,
think that's how fans process. Where if you have been successful, you get the benefit of the doubt to a degree.
So let's go back to my original thought process. Fans can fan. The expectation level is to protect the kid.
That's fine. And I understand that. And coming from your background and as a coach,
I've seen
having been a player
for 20 years,
and as the father of a future player, like
20 years, I've seen the flubs.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even count when I was in school before I even knew any better.
Yeah, well, and there's
right. You think the expectations didn't ruin? Like I just.
What's a good like D'Angelo Evans? Is that a good one, or is that injuries? That was injuries. I'm just throwing a name out.
Bad example because I have my personal thoughts on that.
Sure.
I
was just trying to think of a guy that
Brian Knuckles.
Okay.
Brian Knuckles is a perfect example. It just B-Knuck is a perfect example. Good dude, a lot of talent. You just put it and pit it with. He's getting the Rozier comparisons, the Coffeyville records, and I get it, right? It's part of the business when you're analyzing and trying to project. But what we never ever can see is either the situation they're getting themselves into, their emotional development, and the environment, which is a lot to do with the Daniel Kalen discussion.
And sometimes the situation they're getting out of. We're back halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Want to remind you about our friends at the Omaha Supernovas. Go to supernovas.com. Check out their schedule. They've got a match, tomorrow against the Atlanta Vibe. You can see how to follow along at supernovas.com. You can also get tickets, merch, and anything else you need to know. Supernova's next match is next Saturday, April 20th, here right in Omaha at the CHI Health Center. That's 6 p.m. against San Diego Mojo. Get your tickets at supernovas.com. How we doing? Doing all right?
+1. Yeah, I'm good. That doesn't. I'm not super emotional. I just try to keep it.
No, I understand. There's a disconnect though between the way you evaluate and view things and how most fans do. Right, there's a difference there.
Always been that case. It's fine,
and it's okay, right? 100%. But it's something that I think often needs a reminder for people that are listening.
Just try to save people the angst.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I understand where you're coming from for sure, because the way that recruiting rankings evaluate people, the whole recruiting services, the way even some coaches evaluate. And the results that are...
You know what I see happen?
What's that?
I see coaches that recruit other kids because other coaches do. And you don't take the opportunity to invest and get to know a kid. So then later on, we'll bitch and moan about kids being in the transfer portal because it wasn't a good fit, or, man, they flamed out, or, man, they weren't supposed to be what they... Man, those coaches never knew those kids.
So I think...
It's weird how in one vein we want to put this ridiculous amount of onus and trust in a coach because he said so. A lot of coaches, a fair amount, aren't even really doing the due diligence.
Sure.
But I can see the staffs that do. I do see why they win. Like I know why a lot of these staffs win, independent of just having good players.
Sure, because what we perceive as good players based on talent evaluation, what's actually good players isn't always the same thing. Like on recruiting evaluations, right? Iowa's a good example of this.
Iowa's a great example. They seldom miss.
They seldom miss. Their recruiting classes are never special in terms of rankings, right? And we look at them constantly and go, how do they put so many guys in the NFL? How do they keep beating?
You want another good one that's going to come to fruition? Mark my words.
Okay.
Kansas.
Yeah, Leipold's really good at that.
Man, they do their – and he lost some of his guys.
Yeah.
You know, Fuchs, like some of these guys have gotten jobs, but they do a good job of recruiting. Now, they can't beat Iowa, but another school that's pretty good, Iowa State.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Notre Dame, pretty good. And these are obviously our schools that I'm familiar with. But even for as much as we hate on Minnesota, they know what they're looking for.
Right. Well, and that was my big – so
Kansas State, they know what they're looking for.
what's the thing that we have in common with all those schools that we just – maybe with the exception of PJ Fleck? We like all of those head coaches, right?
Do we like Kirk?
I don't know if we like Kirk, but I think there's a begrudging respect for Kirk.
Hard to dispute. He's
hard to dispute what he's done.
Really, really
good. The track record is incredible, especially for a program that we consistently look at and say, we don't think their talent's that good, despite the fact that they keep putting guys in the NFL, right?
By the way, did you see DeJean's workout last week?
Yeah, 4.45.
It's just everything. Like
he needed the sub. I think he needed some good times, though.
So you know who has a really good write-up is go look at Greg Cosell's like the strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty spot on.
On DeJean specifically?
Having watched, yeah. It's really good.
But every one of those schools that you mentioned, with maybe the possible exception of Minnesota, is we at the very least respect those coaches, if not outright admire them. People around here love Lance Leipold. People around here love Chris Kleiman, right? If we don't love Kirk Ferentz, which I don't think many people do, I think there's deep down a respect for Kirk Ferentz and what he's done at Iowa.
Like who?
I've been listening to Coach Hurley.
Let me just ask you a question off the top.
Yeah.
This is for, and I'm not mad at him. It's just an easy point to make with Josh. I'm just gonna call him D-Lo. I like D-Lo. Can I call you D-Lo, Josh?
D-Lo Green? Oh, that's C-Lo. Okay.
And he's a criminal. Don't do that.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad dude?
No, I'm sure Josh is a better dude. Here's the thing. So if there's a player out here, okay, and Kirby Smart's evaluating him, and Matt Rule's evaluating him, who are you more inclined to believe they're evil? Who do you think is better equipped to perform the evaluation? Coach Rule or Coach Smart?
Me, Ravi, Lulla here. Yeah. Okay.
If you're
or
Tim,
am I somebody
you're
outside?
Tim Smith, the guy that wasn't the Super Bowl MVP, but you're Tim Smith.
So if I'm an outsider,
yeah.
Okay. Then my initial inclination will be Kirby Smart.
Why?
Because he's won more.
Who needs to be better at their job?
I understand that.
No. Who needs to be better at their job?
Rule does.
Okay. Who has a better track record of identifying
under the radar talent?
Yeah.
Coach Rule.
I'm not making that up.
I understand that.
Yet, my point in this whole exercise is
that's why I asked.
Time out.
Okay.
My point in this whole exercise is because Nick and Kirby said so. Really? Like that's what we've kind of dumbed this down to, because what we conveniently forget is when we were getting the quote unquote leftovers from Alabama and Georgia, what was the argument? Well, guess the SEC isn't all cracked up to be. It's all cracked up to be. Am I making that up?
No.
Okay. We wanted guys to be better when we got them. What'd you just tell me guys at Georgia would say about Jacob Hood? Another man's trash is another man's treasure, right? Okay. How much due diligence do guys like that do you have to do when it comes to actual evaluation?
A lot.
Who do you think works harder, Nebraska staff or Georgia staff?
Nebraska staff.
Who do you think works harder, Iowa staff or Alabama staff?
Iowa staff.
So why do we trust Georgia and Alabama more?
I'm telling you why. I'm not saying it's a good reason, but it's because
why,
they've won.
No, say it out loud. Say
because
the
they've won.
Okay.
Because they've won more.
Okay. So
I'm not saying that's a good reason, but that's the reason.
Okay. let's just go back and land the plane.
Okay.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to put that on the kids, because if you're operating under this little mental exercise we just went through, let it play out and see what happens. Because you know what we say? You know what we say about Alabama and Georgia when those guys leave? Oh, they'll just go get another one.
Yeah. Or they couldn't hack it at that.
So
Yeah.
we're just fawning in love. We're just fawning in love with those folks that have built their margins so thick.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
So
that's not what I admire. It's fantastic that they can do it.
Yeah, good for them.
But that doesn't make it.
So that's where I was going to go with the Kirby Smart, Nick Saban thing, was if somebody else evaluates a player as a 4 or 5 star, they can afford to not do the work, to just throw the offer out there. And if they miss, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The stakes for them missing on a high level prospect are pretty low, right? Because like you said, they have the margins to just, they maybe, let's say, I mean, I doubt that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban were out there in Ainsworth, like really digging in the dirt and figuring out what Carter Nelson was, right? Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. I have no idea, right? I think he's a good athlete that we'll see whatever happens, okay? But Georgia and Alabama can take him, or Notre Dame, got in late. They can take, less so Notre Dame, but Georgia and Alabama can take that guy without knowing what his mindset's like, without knowing whether or not he's actually as good as his rating says, because it doesn't matter. If they miss on him, they just go get the next 4 or 5 star tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. So along those lines, which is kind of the underlying meaning of where this whole conversation was birthed, because it started with Grant Bricks and kind of the subliminal pressure to be good, right? So with the Bricks, or we'll take Carter Nelson. The thing that happens over time is however his career plays out or pans out, it may have been exactly what it was supposed to be, whether it's really, really good or really, really bad. Our barometer is that it can only be one way. So you think when kids, and that has to be really, really good. Do you understand what happens when kids choose to stay at home, which we want them to, and you get those kinds of parameters to work under?
Yeah, it makes it really difficult.
It is unbelievably difficult.
It's a really tough position to thrive from.
This is.
That's DB. I'm Rob Lulla. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Want to remind you about Warhorse Sportsbook. You want to maybe get a little weekend action on the Masters going. You want to get some UFC 300 going. Go to Warhorse Casino in Lincoln or Warhorse Sportsbook at Horseman's Park in Omaha. You can place bets on nearly every major sporting event, all sorts of bets, parlays, props, straight bets, live in-game action, which is one of my personal favorites. Warhorse Sportsbook is the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Let's keep our money on the right side of the river, on the good side of the river. I don't like those on that other side. It's Warhorse Sportsbook. No bets, no glory. Get the Warhorse Casino app or go to warhorsecasino.com/sportsbook for a full list of house rules and details. Kind of getting back into that conversation we were having about recruiting and recruiting rankings and kind of the expectations that it sets is one place that we don't ever really aim our vitriol at is the actual recruiting services themselves when somebody misses, right? Because, and listen, I understand there's a lot of variables in what they do. I understand they're evaluating an incredible amount of players, but for all the other things and people and whatever that we're willing to blame, we don't generally just look at it and be like, oh, I think they missed, right? You don't look at, and sometimes we do, but very rarely, unless it's like a super high star or high rated quarterback or whatever. Usually we don't go back and be like, oh man, they really missed on that one, right? Usually,
except when they're
Shane, is DB's mic on?
except when they're ours. You know what we were? You know what really makes me mad about stuff like this?
What's that?
Guess what we were getting ready to say about Bryce Benhart?
Yeah, bust.
Well, can't believe he's a 4-star coming out of Minnesota. Anyway, that's why
Corcoran too.
That's why Minnesota dropped him late.
Corcoran, same way.
I'm not making
No,
these
100%.
kinds of things up.
It was a
right?
year ago, less than a year ago.
It's what drives me crazy.
Mhm.
Right? I don't know how Carter Nelson's going to turn out, but I do know one thing.
Mhm.
If he doesn't turn out to be good, nobody's going to say, "Oh man, he was misranked because Kirby and Alabama wanted him."
Mhm.
It will be, man, how could they not develop him? What's
Yeah.
going on with the tight end position?
Right.
So
There's
it's like
yeah.
you here, it's like you're darn if you do, darn if you don't. It drives me up the wall. And I don't use and the only reason I use Carter Nelson, I don't know how any of that's going to turn out. I'm just saying
He's a highly rated guy.
he's the highest rated guy
in state here.
So
for
it's
sure.
like
Yeah. He had the most impressive offer list.
so it's
yeah.
like that's what we're going and we're getting ready
And we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know, right?
Right. I can't wait for and it's a brutal place to be in, and believe me, it could be much worse.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, sure as I'm sitting here, you know who's getting ready to get the Daniel Kalen treatment of 2024? It's going to be Chase Lofton, right? Because people, 95% of this state hasn't watched Chase Lofton play it down. But what they're going to hear is, man, Tamala really good at quarterback. He's got Amarian Jackson. He's got 3 other guys with offers on that offense. Man, I'm going to go see this Chase Lofton, and we're going to know what he's rated, and we're going to grade accordingly. And it's like, I saw it happen with Michael Burt. I'm getting ready to go through it with Christian Jones. Like these guys, and the rankings aren't the people's faults. My whole point in this exercise is it's not necessarily cast shade on recruiting rankings or fan base's expectation levels. It's to understand that we're formulating these broad opinions with very little information to go on, and we're pawning it off as fact.
Sure.
Either way.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
because we'll do the same thing with a 3-star kid, right? We were like, why are they offering him?
Or how about what they did? And we'll come up with these narratives, right?
Or we get even like a Jalen Lloyd or a Jeremiah Charles or whoever else, right? Where it's like, well, I mean,
Right there.
Jalen Lloyd didn't have any football offers. Jeremiah Charles, he's only played football for like 6 months.
They just miss.
Yeah, so it's okay. We do the same thing with those guys. Where it's like, why are they offering that guy?
No,
right? Why are we? It's the same. It's the opposite side of the same coin of, hey, if Kirby Smart and Nick Saban offer him, he must be good, and if Nebraska's the only person to offer him, he must be trash.
Yeah, that's
right.
That was the whole catalyst for the discussion, right?
But I think at least
like don't just be dismissive of Zebert and at Platteview because
doesn't have any other offers.
Yeah, he's at Platteview.
Yeah.
How about you could give the staff and the family some credit for performing and seeing it before we're like, well, who else is offered? Like,
well, let's get
it. Those kinds of things. They drive me up the wall.
So I'll tell you why people default to this who else is offered, right? Because most of us aren't capable of watching or evaluating.
Well, how come we just don't say that out loud then? Simply say, I don't know enough. I'm going based on this.
Yeah, it's because most people don't like admitting what they don't know.
Well, okay, so why do we formulate all these narratives about whether people can develop or they can't develop or they're this or they're that, and we don't even know what we were starting with our thought process? It was just because somebody told us.
So the reason, at least for me with Frost, the reason I say, hey, that's a staff that wasn't very good at developing guys, was because of the consistent level. Because listen, I'm willing to acknowledge that recruiting services miss, right?
I mean, when you watch Tate Wildeman physically, did that ooze 4-star?
No.
But that's going to be a guy that will develop the narrative, and we forget. I don't that. Oh man, he can't do anything with this Tate Wildeman guy. I'm like, what if he was misranked?
Sure. But if over a large enough sample size, right? So that was the issue. Like, I know we're going back to Frost here, but that was the issue that I had with Frost. Was it seemed like every high profile guy they got didn't pan out. So over that many guys, which I think it ended up being like 24 4-stars, somewhere in that neighborhood, when
Yeah, they hit it the lowest percentage of
like anyone in the country.
yeah.
So when it's that, I'm like, okay, probably not the evals. Like maybe the evals were wrong on some of those guys. I'm not going to assume the evals are wrong on all of them.
The
Is that fair?
Yeah, but to land, it's not any one extreme. This conversation is in its totality.
Yeah. Sometimes the evals are going to be wrong. Sometimes the development's going to be bad. Sometimes Kirby Smart's going to offer a guy just because he's got a lot of stars, and he maybe
it's just unbelievable. And I guess the thing that really set me off, wow, +7, he's going to miss the cut, Mr. Spitz.
Going to miss the cut by a lot.
The thing about that is it was such an easy mechanism to see something like, well, if Kirby and Nick do this, then this. I'm like, really?
They have the luxury of being able to miss.
I just can't.
I think
we just got to change the way we think.
I think people underestimate that. I think people underestimate how if you're a super high profile program who can get those guys.
Well, it's like
if you
trust, do you trust?
Well, again, we come back to that question.
Do you know how many division? I gotta go back and really research it now. Offensive linemen are fascinating, especially coming from small schools that end up making it in the NFL.
Yep.
And those offensive line coaches, the couple guys that they asked about why they have such success in the NFL, and it boiled down to the evaluation process. We know what we're looking for because we've had to work so hard. That shouldn't be that novel of a concept.
No, but
you shouldn't have batted an eye. If you see a guy over in the grass at Cabela's right across the street, and it's not because I like Coach Rule more, because I don't know Kirby Smart, but my deductive reasoning would lead me to believe I'm going to trust Coach Rule's evaluation over that guy in the long term than I would Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart may not even know what he's looking at if it's not over the top. And I'm not being dismissive of Kirby. What I'm saying is he gets the benefit of the doubt, but it's not like he's converting low-level guys. We tried to talk Bennett off of that starting quarterback job for years.
Yep.
And they recruited accordingly. What if he's just a good player?
Yeah, what if he's got misevaluated?
What if he's just a good player?
What if Stetson Bennett really should have been a 4-star quarterback? We wouldn't be having this conversation. Or maybe late bloomer, right? Happens all the time. He was a 2-star coming out of high school, late bloomer, ended up being better than the 5 stars.
Or perhaps my favorite. It's very, very, you have to do your due diligence to gauge competitiveness and whether you think a kid is capable of showing up every day.
And that's the thing that recruiting rankings are never going to be able to capture.
Well, what's the difference between Ryan Perrilloux and Justin Fields?
About
is it talent?
About 10 years.
Is it talent?
I don't know.
No, it's not talent.
About 10 years about getting better about evaluations, I think.
See, you're ready to.
No, but I mean, listen, they have gotten better on the evaluation.
All right, yeah. What if Perrilloux just didn't hold up his end of the deal?
That's totally possible.
So to make a sweeping generalization either way and then stand on it like we know is crazy.
Coming up next, we got Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. We're kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We are also on KFOR in Lincoln for this third hour. We are joined now by our guy Mike Sautter here on the. We're gonna mute our stuff. There we go.
It's not his fault.
Stage.
He does it all the time, but he's used to listening to his computer with volume. That's the hardest thing to remember.
I'm just saying.
Although he didn't own it last week. Remember when his volume was up? He's
Yeah.
like, no, I hit it, and we're like,
that was me right there. That was my fault.
He gave you the ooh. My bad. he's just happy because
we're here.
He's getting spring hoops.
We're here every week. That's all I'm saying.
I have no idea.
Are you more excited for a Fiddler announcement, a Will Kyle return, and Adidas championship showcase? Where are we at in your basketball spectrum?
I'm more excited to be in a gym all weekend long.
You're just gonna post up?
Yeah.
Are you going to be on like those makeshift rafters that they do? It's pretty cool.
I don't know if they're. It's gonna. I don't know if it's
Well,
gonna
they-
be that
well,
much because it's
they
not a
have-
live. It's not a live period.
I get it, but
you
do-
got to put some sort of seating.
Yeah,
in,
that's
but,
what I was going to say.
Yeah, I just I enjoy watching high level basketball players play, and that's what I'm gonna get to do today and tomorrow. And
Are you
Sunday.
happy with the competitive balance of the summer rosters this year?
Yeah, I
It
think
used
so.
to
From
be
a local perspective. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of.
pretty even.
It's-
like not even, but it's
I like it a little bit.
yeah, like
With
the
Supreme
second.
and ETG, like
Yeah,
the talent is.
like the second-ish teams are not. They're closer than it's been in a while. I feel like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, second tier, I guess, is that the term?
Oh, there he is. He sounds better.
Hey,
what do
Shane.
you think happens with Fiddler?
Well, he's at Michigan State now. So I do think he doesn't go far away. I think
at that.
I do think that
That's a great zip up, by the way. I wish they made
This
my
one?
size.
I wish the H wasn't this logo is a little big, but it's okay. I wear it.
I'm a quarter. That's.
I like quarter zip.
I'm
I like
It's
a good
lightweight
zip.
for today.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think there is an outside chance, very real chance that he goes to Wisconsin because of Chucky. I also, I think Creighton and Nebraska very much so in the mix too. So, I mean, those are his four, and the Wisconsin thing I could see very much so making that a reality. Partly because he fits if you look at their roster and how they played last year, long guy that can shoot it, get to the rim a little bit.
He gets some offensive leeway.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So I think that is obviously super intriguing to him. My biggest fear for him would be go to Creighton and people expect you to be Baylor Shireman, and he's not Baylor Shireman. They're different players. So, and Mac's really good at like guarding that, right? Like taking care of his guys when it comes to stuff like that. in the media.
Again, it's
So-
virtually impossible to play for Coach Mack and get worse.
Right. So, but Nebraska really could use him. He'd be
So
really
good
there.
news on the William Kyle coming back front too, because
Yeah.
he had some. It's going to be some good suitors for Kyle the third.
So
man.
he's Kansas State this weekend. Tough not to kind of like what they got going on, right?
and Tang stayed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
staying. And then he's visiting Wake Forest.
How was A&M?
Also visiting Nebraska. I think that was good, I guess, and not a lot of super traction there, but it was good, I would say. But it does certainly feel like Iowa State is very much so in play for William Kyle.
How happy were they that Otzelberger stays and
buyout
now we've
so
got
big.
now we got a Pope in Kentucky, in Lexington.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did
I don't
how
mind
did
that.
Kentucky end up with the worst end of that deal?
I just think the perception of the job.
Right.
No,
People think it's a little bit better than
So here's what I think it is, you guys.
the NIL stuff there seems like a mess.
I
When
think-
your biggest NIL
I think
person at
maybe
Kentucky
now
is,
more than ever, coaches will choose peace
yeah,
because it's already chaotic.
it's real chaos.
It's stressful. It's hard to coach in this environment. So I think we'll see coaches now choose peace.
Mhm.
well, and the money's so good almost everywhere now.
Yeah, you
Right.
don't have to worry about it.
So it's
Right,
like,
like-
okay, like yeah, I get that Kentucky can pay me
I didn't-
$8.5 million, but is that
I just don't
like-
think you'll see a lot of ho hopping.
$5
No.
million in Waco goes a pretty long way,
Right.
Like
That was that was clearly their number one guy, right? Like clearly.
So I can respect that. That's what secretly, it always comes back to Nebraska football. That's what I hope happens with the environment and culture there. It is such a cool place to be.
Mhm.
You don't invite, because they're not going to invite drama. They're just not going to
Right.
deal with it. They'll either cut you or you won't get recruited.
Right.
And they want to mind their own business.
You just don't need it, right?
So
Like,
that's ultimately where I hope it gets. We've seen it with Creighton.
Yeah.
Right. There's a certain way that I recruit.
Mhm.
I have my fundamental high school guys. I'll sprinkle this in,
mhm.
but I'm not getting into how'd they get Baylor? They didn't give in.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
It was nutty in the beginning. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, we'll talk to
you're
you later on.
You heard some crazy numbers get thrown
And then
out
it,
from,
and
like,
then when
Kentucky.
it settles down, it's like, oh hey,
Yeah.
I'll choose that. That's peace.
And that's also that's kind of like the with William Kyle's situation is like there's this school and this school and this school reach out and throwing money and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's not the number one motivating factor for him.
Yeah, I always ask
So-
people. I said it with Trev, like, how much more money would you have to make to invite headaches?
Right. It's
Apparently about $500,000.
Wow, you're such.
am I wrong?
I will say this, William Kyle, just some insight here. Iowa State is very much a real
Yeah,
possibility.
I could see it. I could see it.
And Wake Forest, they really liked.
I just hope he
so-
does. I mean, selfishly, TV is good, and I have a lot of
Mhm.
packages, but
Let me tell you something. If he was at Nebraska, he would be amazing.
I know. No, but
It from a basketball perspective
Really
and
good
all
fit.
of that, it
Really
is a
good fit.
great fit.
Really good
and
fit.
I have just a weird. I've cheered for him since he was.
His dad wants to see him
I've cheered
play.
for him
His
since
family
he
wants to see
was
him play too,
little.
so.
Right?
Right.
It's kind of that Jason Green thing where I see these big guys
Mhm.
that are really athletic,
Mhm.
and they're like 4th grade, 5th grade.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Gotta
They don't
keep an
want
eye on
they
that
don't
one.
want them to just be big men.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's kind of awkward watching it unfold. It's like, I admire you,
Mhm.
parents,
Yeah.
for making them
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Yep.
forcing people locally to think different about long, lean bodies.
Mhm.
And it may not be pretty early,
Right.
but man,
Let's
to
just
watch
get
those
there.
guys stay with it
Mhm.
is like, that's what's fun for me,
Mhm.
because it's not popular real time. I just like how people play the long game.
My thing with
It's not important to be the best 4th and 5th or 8th grader,
Oh,
right? You want to
literally.
be the best juniors and
Literally
seniors,
could not matter less.
right?
let me.
So I like those. I like that
Doesn't
kind of
matter
stuff.
even a little bit.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't matter. I could go off on this, but it doesn't matter. Like, you're the best 7th grader. Who cares? Nobody cares.
Let me
Guess,
ask.
guess what that gets you?
People do
Not
care.
a damn thing.
People do care because they wouldn't be talking about it if they didn't care. But at the end of the day, that does not help
gets
you
you
get
nothing.
recruited. That does not help you in
It gets you
life. It does
nothing.
not help
And
you in
it's-
high school.
It's funny too,
does
because you
not
do
do
have some
anything.
young guys that have offers, and it started in middle school, right? I mean,
Right.
you look at Pittman
Right.
and Haney and even Prince, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But let me ask you, of all the new faces and new places in football,
Mhm.
and I get it, Millard South's gonna, and rightfully so, right? Like
Yeah. They got
that roster is loaded.
loaded.
Is there a particular transfer or two that you think has a lot of pressure based on the move that they made?
Mm. Well, I think Lofton is the guy that probably has the most pressure based off the move he made.
You think?
I
Because he
feel
had a good
about it.
situation and
Yeah.
went better?
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I do. I just think that, like,
There were some gutsy moves.
And he
Air-
wanted
like
more.
Arif Evans. I
Arif
felt like,
Evans is a
I felt
gutsy
like that
move.
was a gutsy move. Like
Yeah.
that took, because you're in good. I mean,
Right.
it's that, like,
He was fine. He's on
They're
the
fine,
staff and all that.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's.
Mhm.
But you're like, okay, I think maybe a different opportunity, but like that one was kind of gutsy. There's a ton.
Different voice.
I
or
think when
something.
people see rosters this year, they're going to be like,
Wait, this
what
guy
the?
went over here. Yeah.
They're like, wait, didn't he play for?
But I just
Yeah.
felt like, it's why I didn't knock the Isaiah McMorris. Like he put himself in a
He did.
in a better position. So I just wonder if we can forecast that
Mhm.
ahead of time. Is there a guy like, man, he put himself in a better position?
Mm.
I mean, Lofton would be easy, but
Yeah.
he's with a lot of other good
They got
targets.
like
He's playing with four other Division I
that-
guys.
yeah. You're gonna have. There's one football, and
Nobody's gonna get doubled.
that's true.
Well,
I mean-
AJ's got D1 offers.
Yeah.
Anderson's got.
Stuff. Yeah. And then
He's got a D1 offer.
Yeah, that's right. He does. And then you have
Lofton has a D1 offer.
Well, multiple, and Isaac Jensen. He's the guy we forget about on that team. Well, right now, right?
I don't. But some of that was their offensive structure,
Right.
right? It's I mean, AJ's gonna he was getting like 70% of those
Yeah,
targets,
71, I think.
and
was the-
rightfully. I mean, I had a I had a good conversation about him this weekend. So I get it, and the movers. That's why I'm deep down kind of really cheering for Zebert.
Brian, yeah, just because he could have left for sure.
Come on now.
No, like
Yeah.
yeah, like
It didn't
everybody
didn't
didn't
even.
care.
So one of the reasons
He's also a guy that we kind of forget about in this
do,
class.
do you
of
know why I
good players.
quietly cheer for him? And I know you're Milliken and Platteview.
Wow.
It's not, because they did their due diligence and we kind of let that evolve.
Mhm.
I'm like, hey, just whatever. Like,
Mhm. If you want to come check us
ask,
out,
ask the
great.
right
Yeah.
question. Totally removed from the situation, doing their thing, and it's working out for them. So there was no rush to make a certain thing or to get on board with this. Like, took their time, and you knew it was truly about wanting to put himself in the best position for him to flourish. It wasn't statistics. It wasn't. There was a lot of things I think that involved them, like obviously his growth and evolution, commitment, emotional well-being. I think it's a very understated thing. So I am cheering my brains out for him, just to
also, like he likes playing basketball. Like,
yeah,
can he do that if he would have left and gone somewhere else? I don't know.
I just like the fact that it was well thought out.
Yeah, he's a
there's some, and I'm hoping that pans out. And as the offers keep coming, he's just at Nebraska. They had a couple of wide receiver.
Yeah.
They had a couple wide receiver tight ends.
He was at K-State and then Nebraska, actually.
Yeah,
K-State. Imagine that. They just keep like sneaking in here.
I hate to say it, man, but they're
Connor Riley. We talked about it.
They're really good.
And
they're gonna fit in the mid. They're gonna fit with the mentality
Mm-hmm.
of local guys. Who's recruiting journey would you compare what you think is going to happen with Christian Jones?
I randomly saw Christian Jones yesterday. I was eating dinner by myself like a lost puppy, and he walked in with his little brother. I was like, "Oh, hey,
isn't he hilarious?"
Yeah,
that is the coolest little kid in America.
So he was looking at me like, "Who is this dude?" And I was like, "Man, you're all right. You'll be all right.
Listen, he's
eventually you'll be all right."
Because he's a different personality.
Yeah, and Christian is just so. I did tell him. I said, "Man, you gotta kind of be happy to not be on an airplane all the time or going places right now." He goes, "Yeah, there's a lot." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but you gotta do it." And I don't know. He did tell me that his timeline is, going to be a Caleb Benning type situation.
You know what's funny? He uses that.
Yeah.
He said that to Coach Rule.
He's like, I don't want to.
And I almost had to get up and leave. I was like, oh, shoot, that almost didn't work out. But I don't know if you want to do that. But they do think a lot alike.
Right. So he said he just wants to take his time with it and not be, pressured into a situation, which I respect that.
He told absolutely. Coach Rule that straight up. He's like, he goes, so like, what do you mean, Caleb? He goes, well, so you want to do it in season? And Christian was like, yeah. And
give it some time.
And Coach
Rule,
it's
less about like in season, out of season, more just like knowing when it's right.
And Coach Rule was smooth as Malanta, right? He just was like, hey, man, that's cool. Like we get that, no pressure from us. Just make sure take your. That's when he went into like what he feels like you should do to make sure you get the right answers.
Right.
Because then he turned into like dad mode, and it was kind of cool.
Because when you go hard sell and you go, like, oh,
and he knows, man, he doesn't want you to. He doesn't want you to leave.
Right. And if you hard sell, the chances of you regretting it and leaving skyrocket.
Yeah.
Right. When you're putting deadlines on kids that don't make any sense, when you're really trying to hard sell them and be like, hey, we got other kids we got to offer. So, you know how much, to me at least, how much equity you get with a kid when you go like, oh, we want you no matter when you make your decision. So you take your time, make sure you get it right, instead of being like, well, if you don't commit by the end of the week, we've got another guy we got to take a commitment.
Here's the one thing that in that situation that drives me crazy is, and it happened It happened to Tristan Simpson. Remember him?
Oh
Lincoln
yeah,
North Star?
from North Star.
Yeah,
Mr. South
in
Dakota.
2016, he was the one Division I player that in
Mhm.
basketball that we had. The one. That was the last time we've only had one.
Mhm.
I mean, this
God,
year.
that seems forever.
Seems
ago.
like a long
Yeah.
time ago. That's what I was gonna say.
7
And-
years, 8 years.
8 years.
And a school said to him, "You're our number one guy, but you have until June 30th because we don't want you to get back out on the AAU circuit and kind of get more stuff.
Mhm.
So you got to let us know by June 30th. You're our number one guy. You're clearly our number one guy.
But
you know,
deadlined him.
but
Yeah.
deadlined him." And I'm like, if you're the number one guy, you should be the number one guy whenever it is.
Yeah, you don't have deadlines.
Yeah,
Also, it's really crappy.
and that's also why I didn't go there.
It's really it's really crappy to say to a kid like, "Hey, we don't want you to have more opportunities, so you have to commit to us before you're going to get those opportunities."
So there's all sorts of storylines coming up with football, especially as you're getting ready. Is your 7-on-7 full?
No, we got 18, 19 teams.
And you
right
want
now.
what? Low
24
20s?
would be nice.
Who
I mean,
do you-
we'll roll with 19 or 20. if we
there's
can.
lots of storylines and lots of motivation.
Yeah.
Who do you think are a couple of like the they're gonna be dialed in for reason X? You don't have to say what the reason is, but who you think is gonna kind of be locked and loaded?
Braylon Warren.
Think he's locked and loaded?
I think there's a little little pressure there maybe to you had Cole Payton, you had Rezak, and now you're the guy.
So
So
off to a good start in 7-on-7.
Right.
If he's healthy, like his
yeah,
back,
it'd be fun. Yeah,
he
but
threw-
that's the
wasn't
one
that him that
thing.
threw the dot to Mooberry?
Mhm, yeah.
I would imagine North would be fairly motivated.
North is very motivated because they lost, their quarterback and all that. But Mikey Yao comes back; he's going to be their quarterback. So we'll see
I would
how
think they'll be.
that'll work.
And I mean, Tyson lost a lot of his friends.
Oh yeah,
So I'm quietly cheering for. Now we open with them, so I have to be careful. But
listen,
for him as a person, a lot of those guys he came in with, he's not leaving with.
yeah, and he is not happy about it. I'll say
Oh.
that.
Who you telling?
He's had something to prove about it. I'll say that.
Jay and Kelly spent 25 minutes talking at practice. It's like, whoa.
That's a guy that we maybe forget about. 'cause
She's forgotten about. She's fantastic.
he committed.
He's got a lot of
yeah, well,
bad Henri boys running around that house.
Yeah. So he doesn't. Tyson kind of maybe. It's hard to say flies under the radar, but
He
we
kinda
don't,
does,
we
I
don't
think.
talk
He
about
does.
him
It's an afterthought.
because he committed already, and he's not the
And he
hot
hasn't
name.
wavered.
Yeah.
I think Millard South will be highly motivated.
Yes.
I
To prove people we can do it, right? This is what it is. They're so talented, though. Oh.
Central should be. They got a lot of young guns.
They're always motivated. There's always a chip on their shoulder.
I would think Papio.
For sure.
They had a lot it's
A lot of
kind of shady.
movement.
I
Papio's
shouldn't
line,
say shady, but
Papio's line, just watch out. I think they're going to be pretty good.
I tried to tell.
They were good last year.
Tried to tell
think they're
Robbie
gonna be
last
pretty
year,
good.
their interior young guys
Yeah, they're
are
moving
really good. But there's a couple of those. I said like Papio has some. I really obviously I like Owen James.
Mhm.
At Westside, young guy. I like Glab at Millard
Mhm.
South. There's some good 2-year away young linemen
Mhm.
that I kind of like, and Papio has a couple.
Yeah, they're not just one. They're guys with D1 offers right now. So, or whatever, group of 5 stuff. But still, hey, it's better than a lot of people get.
Do you see
And-
Grand Island's enrollment?
Mm-mm.
They
It's
have
high.
huge
Yeah, it's huge.
numbers.
Go to that.
Yeah,
It's in the 2s.
new
Really?
coach there will be interesting.
What about I saw your guy at the lunch in Behringer, Miller North. He had on sweet gear.
Yeah.
Nike's. Oh yeah. He gave Chad all the credit though. So
They've got-
that's cool.
they've
He's
got
like,
good
hey,
gear.
that's Zimmerman. Their gear
They've got good gear.
is amazing. But what do you think about Miller North?
Um,
Because they have another forgotten guy like Vermos.
yes.
People, they either talk about Mooberry or it's that he's already been committed.
Yeah.
So he's kind of
and
like
that's something that I'm excited.
he's
to
been
see
committed
him.
for a year.
Yeah. I'm excited to
2
see
years early.
Vermos in a offense that you could see jet sweeps and catching the ball out of the backfield. Like you play him at running back. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
like there's a lot you can do with him. That's a lot of there. I don't know who else they got, right? Like so you just find ways to get the ball in his hands.
For sure,
Right?
yes.
Like that's what I'm saying. He's
I-
not gonna. I don't think he'll be the lead running back. but
Confident the ball will be in his hands a lot.
yes, and it'll be different because they're gonna like spread it out, right? Like Miller North, just the look and feel of it is like, whoa.
They also
Be
need
a
to get
lot.
Mooberry. They need to get Mooberry more touches.
Lot
Well,
more
and he
con-
needs
a lot
to move
more
down.
conventional
He's
to
gonna move
game
down
plan.
to outside linebacker.
What about Millard West?
Oh, hold
They
on. Before we
lost
go
a
Millard
lot.
West.
Yeah.
My guy Rayberg.
Yeah, he's get another name that we in that lineman.
He's pretty fantastic.
I
Yeah.
like that dude a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
another.
I
name
forgot
that-
you
I'm a
went
big
all in
Rayburn
last
guy.
year. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a good player. Or last week.
Miller North has a bunch of talent.
What about Millard
They
West?
do. They lost a lot.
It's the only Millard school I mean,
You don't know
I
about
didn't want them
'cause
all, but Millard West is on the schedule.
they're just insulated, right? So they don't do a lot, of the.
What about Bevy West?
It'll be interesting to see. I saw Jermaine Green run track yesterday. He's fast. Like it's just Kenny,
yeah.
Kenny
So
catch,
that's not
focus,
really the
catch.
thing.
It's the line for them, 100%.
It's the straight line stuff you can defend.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Anderson, it's your time,
the change of direction.
right?
Yeah, the shifty
Right.
guys.
That's why I like
Will Anderson.
that's
it's
why I
his
like
time
Tyrell
to be
so
the
much.
guy. Yes,
he
he's
was
good.
unreal.
Right.
Because his ability to change direction
That's why Cade Johnson is
Was-
still on a practice squad.
was oh yeah.
Like,
Another flipping headache. Like it's not the straight line stuff.
Mm-mm.
It's
right.
the zigzag.
Yeah.
And Jermaine Green, I don't know if he has that.
You know,
Because
so
he's
so that's
burner.
kind of like
But the
we know it's a lot of
interior Bellevue West has to be better.
is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean 100%.
So let me ask about another straight line guy. You know him pretty well.
Who?
Cotton. How does he change direction?
Oh no, he's
no,
more
he's
shifty
twitchy.
than.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
he's a
I
He's
think-
the guy that we don't
Because I think a
we
lot of
get
people
any-
look at him.
we like it that way.
because he's short. That's the only reason.
We
But
like
that guy's
his
good,
change.
man.
Listen, he could be in the backfield.
I
His
think-
change direction is silly.
But I think a lot of people look at him. They see the track speed. They see the track history with his family, and they're like, straight line guy.
No,
Yeah, he's
I
twitchy.
first
That's
saw
why
him.
I asked about him.
I
He's
first
Ziggy.
saw him as a freshman.
I like
He's-
that, Ravi. I
he's good.
like where your head is. He's Ziggy.
He's good. He's gonna be a guy. Like,
Stick around. I want to talk.
Yeah.
Local hoops too.
We gotta also get to we'll get to Matt Vrzal as we wrap up the show as well here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's CBM, Ravi, Lulla, Mike Sautter here with us, and it seems like we've got a herd of people up here on the Pillar Exterior stage, but there's actually a herd of dinosaurs that's millions of years and millions of bricks in the making down at Lauritsen Gardens. Experience Brick Live Brickosaurs, an adventure of Jurassic scale at Omaha's Lauritsen Gardens through May 12th. Come face to face with more than 30 iconic dinosaur sculptures made from more than 1.5 million bricks. Discover prehistoric plants and unearth a ton of fun. It's an exhibit you have to see to believe. To build your family's dynamite, visit Visit lauritsengardens.org. Want to give you a quick update on what's going on.
Right, are we going today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going
Where
this
you going?
afternoon. I'm
At
excited.
Lauritsen
excited.
Gardens At 1:15.
oh,
15.
Okay, 1:15. Sounds great.
have fun.
We have a little update on some master scoring. I made a little comment earlier about Scotty Scheffler. They haven't those groups aren't kicking off or teeing off, I suppose, until
12:48.
a little bit later. Bryson DeChambeau kicks off about an hour after we get off the air here.
Can he
but
putt yet?
Bryson?
No,
Oh.
I don't
I
know.
don't
Maybe as long as he stays in the fairways, because he's at 10:54.
Our guy Tiger Woods +1 now, getting a little dicey there on the cut line.
I don't
Just a
know. I
little
think
nice.
right now the cut line is projected at +3.
Okay, so he's okay. He might be okay there. We, keep an eye on Tiger Watch, see if he can make that cut and break that record as far as consecutive cuts made at the Masters. Anybody else you're keeping an eye on?
Well, Phil Mickelson +1 goes a little later. Who else? Schauffele, even.
Yep.
Sergio Garcia, Shot a 72 yesterday, and kind of a closet pick. Cam Smith, 1 under.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys in that even 1 under range right now. ESPN's projecting the cut at +2. So Tigers maybe needs a little work to do on that one, or needs a little help at the very least. A lot of the guys in these top groups here will start teeing off in the next hour or so.
Does not look good for my guy Matsuama. He's going to have
I
to go
hate
on a
playing
heater.
golf.
He's going to have to go on a heater.
He's +4. He goes at 12.24. So we will see. We will see if he's able to make a little movement here on a Friday.
We are making moves out here, people.
So you wanted to talk some hoops with our guy
real
Sautter
quick.
here.
William Kyle not going to Kansas State this weekend. Canceled.
Ooh, outro.
We are making moves out
Wasn't
here.
going there.
What do you think? What do you think it means that?
No sense in wasting time, right?
Right.
What do you think it means that?
Hoping to reschedule.
What's that?
Are we any closer to you thinking what Josiah does, Dotzler?
I would think so, right? Like he's
The basketball portal and football. Look at the statistics. It has become very
I'm talking like 2,000 people.
It's become very unforgiving.
Mhm.
You got to really be careful.
like Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven.
I don't know.
I
what
did
you're
just
talking
I
about,
did
bro.
just watch that.
I got nothing for you.
I
on
did.
that.
I
don't
and
even
I
know.
went back to not liking Gene Hackman.
Is Unforgiven a movie?
Hell of a
Yes.
thing, killing a
Oh.
man.
How can you not like Gene Hackman?
I didn't like him in that movie.
Hoosiers?
Dude, he whipped my
That's the only
man. He
thing.
whipped
Yeah, I know.
Morgan Freeman like
Well, I mean,
Sneaky good movie. Gene Hackman, Enemy of the State.
no sneaky good movie is The Chamber.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's unbelievable.
I say
He's a death row inmate and weird. He worked for a supremacist group, but his nephew had to defend him
Mhm.
Over a bombing of a. He was a Jewish family that died, but it's really good. He had these. He's a
Grimy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like his teeth were all yellow, and he did a fantastic job in The Chamber. And the little dude that played Robin in Batman, I think, was his lawyer.
Chris O'Donnell.
I think that was who it was.
Yeah.
Sneaky good Gene Hackman movie, The Conversation.
That's not. Didn't that win an Oscar? That's not sneaky good.
Yeah, but nobody ever talks about it, and it's old, and it's
It won an Oscar. We won Best Picture. Like, what do we?
the Conversation won Best Picture.
I'm almost positive the
It
conversation.
was
like,
sandwiched.
don't let
It was
Robbie talk to
sandwiched.
you like
It
that.
was sandwiched in between Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. So you're saying he won like Best Picture like 3 years in a row?
Who, Coppola?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it was 73. Best Picture, The Conversation.
Well, who are we? Who are you guys?
The guy that plays Fredo, I think, was in that movie too.
Well, he was. So was
Hey.
Harrison Ford.
Let's go take a trip in a boat.
Listen, I'm
And
okay.
don't ever speak out against the family again. I'm just telling you.
I love this. I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley a lot.
Yeah,
Hey, see my head?
Take
It's
that.
right here. My head's right here. This
Just the
conversation is
lowlights.
way over.
way above it.
I don't know anything of what you guys just talked about, except for Godfather, and that's about the only movie. I got nothing for you on that.
Forgive me.
I'm sorry. I'm looking up the conversation. Now, 'cause
I don't even know what that is.
It's a movie.
See, that's why I'm saying it's sneaky good. Sautter
I don't
doesn't know
wa-
what it is.
Shane.
I mean, if Sautter doesn't know what it is, then it's sneaky good.
Shane, I don't watch movies.
I'll say, what's the last movie you saw?
No idea.
So you got the
Yeah, probably some kid, probably some little kid movie.
you have an Adidas championship this weekend.
Uh-huh.
Obviously a lot
Big
of
game this afternoon, by the way. Compton Magic and Coapede and Elijah Arenas.
So
playing-
Coapede is still in about everybody's top 7
Mhm.
or 8
about
in
right.
his class.
Mhm.
So you'll get to see him. Compton Magic.
Is playing ETG, the local team, at 3:10.
Yeah,
Central.
the Coach Runco,
Mhm.
formerly of the Compton Magic, formerly of Omaha.
yeah,
Of Omaha.
weird how that happens.
Currently now, well, not currently.
Well,
recently
not-
departed from
Westview, yeah.
High School.
We'll see what the next step is.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I saw that job was posted. Is that a good basketball job?
Yes,
We have good leadership too with Barons and
it's
Tom Lee.
always going to be a good basketball. As long as Tom Lee is the principal and Eric Behrens is the AD, it will always be a good basketball job.
and they're relatively young. You're still only going into year
Right.
3.
Got to keep Taven Zephyr Murray though, like Murphy. Sorry, you got to keep him because I guarantee you his phone right now is like, come here.
Regan Hollingsworth. There's a lot of guys. That
Yeah,
could
John
potentially
Sims.
hit. I say the open market, but you're up against it now because
you got 2 weeks here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad they at least gave kids the opportunity because they posted it early.
Yeah. Well, we
Got to.
That's why I'm not. People are like they roll their eyes about transfers. I'm sorry, but you're not living in the current world if you think kids don't pick schools for coaches.
Duh.
I mean, your school is cool and all, but a lot of times kids want to be coached.
But Damon, you don't live. Yeah, we just take the kids that live in our district. We don't do anything else.
I got you.
That's what.
Oh, okay.
That's yeah.
I get it.
The people that say that, by the way, I bet if you
have no desire to coach anybody that can't afford to live in their district.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or
I said the quiet part out loud.
Or I guarantee you, at some point,
that's too bad. They should move. Oh, but I can't afford it. Oh well.
I guarantee you.
I guess you don't deserve a good education or good coaching.
That sounds about right.
Appreciate that. So at some point in the history of the school, since the school has been in existence,
what school?
Any school that says
Just
we
schools.
only take our whatever, right? Guarantee you that someone at some point has moved there for a job or for something, and you've benefited in some way in the history of the life of the school. Guaranteed. You can't tell me no, right? Like, very interesting. I like him. I like his dad. This is not a knock.
I feel a dot coming.
But Gretna was the one that was like, we only take our. And then, Kate Cook moves in.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
Then you don't hear that anymore.
Interesting.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm right. So like and nobody broke any rules. They followed the rules. Fine. Like it's fine. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say
I would say this. I don't think they were standing on the business of
when
you're only our own. I think it's if you move here, that's cool.
When the football rivalry between you West Side and Gretna was a thing, you heard that a lot.
I did not, but
you didn't. But
that's fair.
You hear it a lot.
People aren't going to tell me that,
right?
Because
you didn't hear that, but
we're in the middle.
I heard that, and other people heard that.
You hear it a lot with anybody that's losing to West Side. Honestly,
no, yeah,
like it's just what it is. Like as soon as they lose to West Side, they're like, well, they go and whatever. And
but I'm just saying,
regardless of facts.
But once that happened, you didn't hear that anymore. Yeah. So maybe just like, hey,
something about throwing
just
stones.
calm down.
With all the Millards doing their thing, no pressure on us.
Listen,
move your brains out.
Millard North.
Listen,
bring all the guys.
I could
transfer.
I couldn't.
As long as no one is breaking rules, I don't give a damn what you do.
Me neither.
Like, you can even break some rules. Just don't get caught.
Be fun.
Wow.
Be fun to coach against.
Ravi and Lulla here for cheating on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I gotta go.
Green jackets.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and we're brought to you by our friends at Team Jack Foundation. Go to teamjackfoundation.org to give money directly to the cause, to see what projects they're funding, and to see future and upcoming events. That's teamjackfoundation.org. Over $12 million raised and counting. You can be a part of trying to find better treatments and one day a cure for childhood brain cancer. That's Team Jack Foundation. Joining us now is Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. Verz, what's going on?
Not much. Just preparing for today and tomorrow. Just the FYI, we'll be closed for lunch today and tomorrow. We are running some pizzas down to Lincoln.
Oh, you got you so you made it to year 2 again of that fancy delivery thing you did.
Yeah. Yep, we did. They called again the other day and we said, "Are you sure?" And they said, "Yep." We said, "All right."
What's the number?
It's big.
Today and tomorrow? Today and tomorrow? Or is today
tomorrow is bigger than today. Today's Scott.
Jeez. Must be good to be Matt Vrzal.
No, you say that, but I don't see you here at 3 helping me out. then I know for damn sure I ain't gonna see you here at 1:30 tomorrow helping me out.
Well, I'll actually probably see you in Lincoln if you get there early enough tomorrow. That's not funny. I know. I'm sorry.
It ain't gonna be early.
Hey, are you
We going down there for you? Kid ain't even there yet.
Why are you worried about what I'm doing?
You just told me you just had a big time. You're gonna be there already.
It didn't have anything to do with being big time. It's just trying to be a ship
Big
passing
time.
you in the night.
Whoa! What did you just say?
A ship passing you in the night.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
No.
We don't say those words on the radio.
Hey, I know you make lots of knuckle references, but how did the knuckles up blocking technique land with you yesterday with Coach Raiola? They're knuckles up guys. They don't grab.
He's the offensive line coach at the University of Nebraska Lincoln, and I'm making pizzas. So it's, everybody's got their own way to do it. I just know that
he's probably in the what percent? 5? 3? 2?
Yeah. It's
not that it's good or bad, just the technique. It's just and maybe that's why they don't get called a ton for holding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I would push that envelope, see what happens.
Yeah. Just because of just the nature of pass rushers these days. But I was surprised.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Okay. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Okay. So if I instruct you to have amazing feet, okay, slow feet don't eat, jump your rope, move your feet. But if you're going to get into a spot where I can get tight into you and I can get a hold of you, and now I know you can't move, okay, and many a referee will tell you, as long as you are not outside of the cylinder around the back, you're inside on the steering wheel, like I call it, the 2 inside pads of the shoulder pads. If they've got you in the steering wheel, there's nothing any referee is going to call. It's God's honest truth, okay? Now, the part I like about it is that, say, we do get called for holding, which we don't very often, but maybe once, twice a year. But if we get called for holding and I can get to that umpire, I say, hey, man, that was a good catch. I was like, because I teach them to do that. And they will laugh, and they say, I know you do. And then one guy, like a couple of them will be like, and your guys are good at it. I'm like, yeah, because it levels the playing field for me, okay? I don't necessarily have the highest of high-end talent, but I got kids that are willing to learn, and I got kids that are willing to master technique, okay? So if you get those two things done, you can be 160 pounds. Now, you are going to run into a freak like the kid at Bennington, and you just hold on for dear life and you run away.
You love him.
I do. He's a great player.
Yeah.
He's a great kid, and he loves work. Like, he will find work. He's like, hey, can I do this? I'm like, sure. Well, let's give her hell, see what happens. But that's where it provides me. I may not be as talented, because you look at AT, you look at Haas, you look at all those dudes that didn't have the height that everybody thought you needed to have. But you know what they did? They had great feet, and they knew inside leverage. They could get their hands inside where nobody can do anything. And then once that dude tries to relax or starts to run, and you have inside hand control, that dude is counting the lights. He is telling you how many clouds are in the sky. He is wishing that he did not make that move. And it's when you have top level talent, you have the elite of the elite, a la in NFL. You bet. Go at it. Do your thing. There's no real technique. You do what you got to do. But when you're dealing with college and you're not going to have necessarily the most talented of guys, but you got competitors, teach them those things. Now, this is the way that Dom is doing it, and I hope it works, and I hope they rush for thousands upon thousands of yards, and they don't get any sacks up, and they get 0 holding calls.
So for you, is it fair to say it's a risk reward thing? The reward of teaching it where you're trying to get away with a little bit is way higher than the risk of the handful of times that you're actually going to get called for holding. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah. We're just basing off facts, right? Okay, just facts of what has happened to this point, meaning no disrespect to anyone.
Mhm.
All right. If I run for 250 and have one holding call, or if I run for 110 and have no holding calls, which one would you have?
I'll take the 250.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Maddie, how about
Next?
go ahead.
Nope, I just said next.
Hey, so when he's talking about like the different line combinations and on this group you may be at this position and this group you may be the second tackle, stuff like that. Pretty much, or how do you look at it? I look at it as kind of like the perfect timing when you have young quarterbacks. They need to see a lot of different things anyway in combinations. Or do you look at it, young guys, maybe we go with a little more stability? If everybody's learning, you want everybody learning on the fly?
Yeah, like right now with it, and I know it's just year 2, but they seem to teach at an advanced level. And maybe, as I look at it, they're looking for cohesion. Like I'm going to throw some different groups out and see who works best together. So if it's, Billy and Johnny and Tommy, and one's a tackle, one's a guard, and one's the opposite tackle, and they work real well together. Now I can say, okay, these 3 are comfortable with this. Now let's try the other 2 pieces and see how they fit in. That's kind of not mix and match, but just giving yourself an opportunity to see how guys play together, because that does factor in. Like that is real. So maybe that's kind of the logic in that.
Verz, how much of that cohesion do you think is sort of a natural thing versus how much is learned, right? Because from my standpoint, I would think, hey, if you've got the same guys together more often, the chances of you having a cohesive unit are better. But is there something kind of innate where you can see a group sort of in a small sample size and say, oh, hey, they actually work really well together?
Oh, that's a good question.
In the fall, you are correct. In the spring, you have time to experiment.
Fair.
You try different stuff. Like in the fall, yeah, you're going to know. But right now, it's like, hey, we've always wondered, let's try this.
So
how many plays did we, try in the spring, DB, and then never, like some of them stuck and some we never heard of again.
That's a good point. So for linemen and cohesion, are you talking about like, well, when I'm next to Matt, I know he likes to stay on the double. It feels like this. Or when I'm with Ravi, when we're on the double, it feels like this. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or is it more like?
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that
you're gonna have that, but then there's just some people like AT. All right, you knew AT wanted to get second level and get that little weeble wobble running out there and try to get in front of a linebacker, right?
God bless Aaron.
He wanted to get out. Yeah, he wanted to get out there and do that. Great. So now I know when I have to overtake, which means I'm going to pull. I'm going to go right in this example, and I'm going to get my right or my left shoulder to the opponent's left shoulder. I know I have to go a little deeper on that step, and I have to then really sprint. I have to just turn and sprint over there. Okay. If you're working with somebody like a Sty, that's more of a banger, like, right? Sty wants the contact on the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Sty wants to take the defensive lineman to the linebacker. And
you got time.
I got time, right? Those little things iron out through drill, through live rep, through all that kind of stuff. But you find, and it shows quick, right? You'll see it right away. Like, okay, those 2 dudes, if we want to run like old school outside zone, those 2 kill it, right? So we're just going to do those 2 together. That's it. Now, what you want to base your identity on as an offense factors in that too. Do we want to be an outside zone prevalent team? Do we want to give a running back 3 steps, let him cut back and go? So that's kind of how that all works.
It's Matt Vrzal, former Husker owner of Pison's Pizzeria. He is going to be making some pies early in the morning the next couple of days. Verz, we appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, and make sure to say hi to the peasants when they bring the pizza.
Oh, Lord. Enjoy yourself, Matthew.
See you, buddy.
See you.
That's our guy, Matt Vrzal.
Unbelievable.
A little bit of snarkiness for DB on the way out.
Shocker.
That's all for the week. Very normal week. We got everything. Oh, wait. No, we got to talk wide receivers Monday because we didn't get to it today. We'll be back on Monday with more Hurrdat Sports Radio.